Welcome to the Event Life podcast, where we dive into the live event scene and have conversations with the people who make them happen. I'm your host, Esteban Quadros, and I'm joined by the ever insightful co host, Jessica Barrett, and we're excited to share the conversation with you. Enjoy. TNT, the dynamic duo, Thao and Tom Moore. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank
Green
you for
Mango's
having us.
Catering. Yeah, I love you guys. Your story, the come up, and just obviously the both of you working with you guys in just various random things that we've done together. You guys are awesome. So I just want to say thanks for being here.
Yes.
Yeah. There's some stuff that I love about some of the things that we've talked about, like the story that you've had, and just like you told me a story, and I hope you can tell it again. But it's like you talked about how you got into catering a little bit, and then how there was like a dream crusher scenario in there where like you told somebody like what you wanted to do for your future.
Oh yeah, right.
You don't have to mention names. I'm not saying like we're not talking.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I thought that story resonated with. I think it will resonate with a lot of listeners and people, and just it resonated with myself. There's always that dream crusher. You know, I came from music background and stuff, and there's always someone trying to stop you from doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I was just hoping that, like, just to get started, if you want to like talk a little bit about some of the come up and just kind of how you got into being a chef.
So thank you for having us. Love you guys.
Thanks for being here.
So the story that you were mentioning many years ago, when I was in culinary school, we had a competition. It was like the Girl Scout cookie competition where you pick a cookie and you make something out of it. And I picked the caramel delight cookie, and I came up with this recipe of making this caramel chocolate shrimp appetizer. And I created I used part of the cookie in the crust around the shrimp, but I used part of the cookie as part of the dipping sauce for the shrimp. Did very well, ended up taking first place and the People's Choice Award at this competition. One of the judges at the competition approached me after the fact and said, hey, I really love what you did. Would love to have you come and work for us. And I was very flattered, because I was still in school, and here's my first opportunity to come and work for somebody in the culinary field. So I said, yeah, sure. I love it. And I went and worked at this company. I think I did a great job. Day 2, the owner asked me what my long-term goals were. And I said, someday, this was a caterer. I said, someday I would love to own my own catering company. The next day I was fired.
Yep.
Oh,
exactly.
Oh, that's not where I was expecting this story to go. Okay.
No, I know.
Okay.
But that's like a it's such a
Well,
but if we rewind, and we start, or the story starts when you were a claims manager and left the Twin Cities, and they moved their offices to Lincoln, Nebraska. They gave us a crossroad: come with us to Lincoln, Nebraska, or stay here, but you're unemployed. And we were literally at our old house in our bedroom that was in the basement, and we're sitting on the floor, and we're trying to decide what's the fate of our lives.
3 kids?
Three kids.
3 kids, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob was 2, and this was right around the time you were pregnant with Jasmine.
Oh, okay.
And we were like, what do we do? And Thao said, at that time, she's like, you're the bread maker. We're going to stay here. But then she's like, what am I going to do? And we had that conversation of, this is a huge life change. Like, imagine, you're laid off, and this is what is insurance. And now you got to do something completely different. And where do you start?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we talked, and then we talked about just you looking at, what are you good at? What do you like? What do you enjoy?
Yeah.
And you said, I love cooking. Well, I know you love cooking because I eat your food.
I love your food. Yeah.
I love you loving cooking too.
So then I'm like, what can we do around cooking? What can you do around cooking?
And we love to entertain. And, and I think it just kind of spiraled from that.
So when we made the decision to you're like, yep, this is it. I'm going to go into the culinary field. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my culinary degree. That was around the time when we were starting telling friends and people we knew about this dream.
Nice.
Our motto was dream big, eat well.
Eat well and dream big.
Eat well and dream big. We're going to always eat well. We're always going to dream big. The only person holding you back from your dreams is you.
That's me. Yeah.
So we talked about that. So we had people that we knew that were like, you're going to go into culinary school? Yeah, well, good luck making money. Right? Or
well, I think it was just because it was such a big shift.
Such a huge change,
It's
right?
a massive change.
So different,
Yeah,
right?
from insurance to the kitchen.
Right. From a steady 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, and then
to something
going back to
that's-
school.
Going back to school.
Yeah, starting at the bottom again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Into something that is, what is my background at the time? Nothing, So, yeah. So back to that story, it was a little bit more than deflating, to have somebody say, well, I only wanted you to come work for us until...
And never have any other dreams of your own.
Right.
Yeah, God forbid.
So that was the person that hired you after they loved what you did?
Yes.
And
actually,
then they fired you because of what you wanted to do?
Yes. And to add on to that, before I got fired, they wanted my recipe from the Girl Scout cookie competition, which I did not disclose.
Wow. Have you made that since?
a few times.
I have. Not very often.
It's just like the back pocket,
yeah,
here's
yeah.
my big winner.
Yeah.
That is freaking amazing.
Mm.
Wow. No, I love that story when you told it to me, I don't know, freaking about a year ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know, I think the thing that bothers me about that is that this is somebody, I felt like this is somebody I could have learned from, that could have mentored me.
Yeah.
Right. And to be diminished in such a way because I couldn't provide for this person what they wanted from me, so therefore they're just going to cut it off. And I thought we could have done something real. I would have been willing to grow their business, and they're still around.
I was gonna say
They're still around.
Tell that part.
Yeah, they're still around, and the thing is, I would have been more than willing to really help grow their business, to become even bigger and better. But when I was let go like that, it was disheartening. But I don't let that stop me.
Sure.
You know what? I'm going to pick up the pieces and I'm going to continue on and live my life and do my thing.
It's interesting too to have somebody fire you on, asking you what you wanted to do so far in the future. And so you're opening up the question, first of all. And then secondly, a hypothetical that's far in the future, to let that make a decision for you today is a very interesting choice. I also think it's really short-sighted because I think as a manager, if you're managing people, your goal should always be that they will go on to bigger and better things.
Of course.
Always. Otherwise, what are you doing? Because then you're just holding people captive.
Yeah.
You're not letting them grow. You're kind of kneecapping yourself. You're not letting your own business grow because you're not letting the people in your business help you grow.
Right. Yeah. And you know what I really love about our business is we've had people who have worked for us in various capacities, and they have moved on to become sous chefs in very established local restaurants today. Yeah. And I feel good about it because I feel like we were their
You
springboard.
should be honored for that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, and also, sometimes those people can come back around and you can you can work together in a different capacity. I mean, Castina, my business partner, and I are a good example. We worked together at Aria. We both went our separate ways, and now we're back working together again. And if I had at that point been no, you can't leave, or I get, whatever the case may be, or tried to hold her back from things, that would have completely altered the way our relationship could play out now at this point.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
In a huge way, though, it actually maybe got you to where you are.
Yeah.
Did you leave with a vengeance and be like,
I can't see you
I'm
really
gonna
with
come
a vengeance
back
about it.
and I'm gonna show you, kind of like that.
I feel like this industry, and we were talking about this earlier, I feel like this industry, there's business for everybody. There's no one company who can take on absolutely everything, right?
Yep.
So I'm okay with, like, we are, we have our own niche, and that's okay. Like, I'm very happy with it. So,
I think you had a fire in your belly from day one. So that's kind of what I was getting at first, is that we got displaced. We tried to figure out where we're going to go. We weren't going to settle for, or that wasn't going to work for us.
Mm-hmm.
You chased your culinary degree. She worked at Ocean Air. I know you may know that the culinary world in the restaurant business, it's a boys' club.
Mm-hmm.
And women are not always maybe treated or looked upon as they should.
Mm-hmm.
And you're fire. You're like, you're not, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And you had a fire in your belly.
Mm.
And when we came home and you left working for Ocean Air, and you're like, we're going to open up a catering company. Like, we're doing this. And we had a whole, like, that's my point. We had a whole list of naysayers who are like, oh, yeah, good luck with that. Or I had a neighbor say, and we've been together for 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly believe, like she is my soulmate. I absolutely love my wife. Absolutely love you. This woman that lived behind us, she's like, people who are married to caterers, they divorce.
Weird thing to say.
Yeah, she's like, you're going, because she's going to be gone so much. And I'm like, no, she's not. I'm going to be with her.
Yep.
Like almost every event we're at, unless it's a small event or it's a weeknight when I'm working at my day job, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, you're a duo, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just, that was to
Yes.
me was like, I almost got more aggressive just with the naysayers. Like, we're going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Like, now you're setting us off. Like, this is like, you should,
A little extra,
you shouldn't say.
A little extra dynamite underneath there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm.
I think, like, much like Esteban, I have a story of, like, something that I really appreciate about your catering company, about you guys. And it was when we were talking about a catering list for a venue that we were consulting with, that was outside of the Twin Cities. Excuse me. It was a little bit of a drive, and we sent, like, some information on it, asked if you were interested, and you said, you know what, we would love to, but it would stretch us too thin, so we're going to have to say no. Mm-hmm. And I respect people who are willing to say no so much, especially when it's like you're saying no for real, legitimate reasons, right? You're not just saying it because, I mean, in our business, I feel like no one says no to anything half the time, right?
Right. That money or that
yeah,
thing
and it's
or
like
whatever.
the next opportunity. You're like, why isn't more better? And it's like more isn't always better, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's sometimes you need to be aware of what you do that really well, stick to what you like, what is good right now about your business, and grow in a little bit more measured way and a little bit more careful way. And you guys have grown a lot, but I feel like it's been a little bit slower and more thoughtful in some ways, which I think is great for the longevity of a business. And like, I use that example a lot when people are telling me, like, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like, I don't mind being told no. I respect it a lot, because the way that you approached it and the way that you talked to us about it, I was like, I really appreciate someone who will, like, under promise and over deliver, right? That's kind of one of the core tenets of our business. Right. And I felt like that was what you were doing essentially in that moment. And so it made me want to work with you more in the future at other places when it was a good fit.
Right. So. Thank you for saying that. Don't get me wrong. It's very hard to say no, because it's like, I mean,
we've had so many opportunities to grow.
Right.
We've had so many opportunities. It was even the potential airport gig that was there, and then other stuff. And our focus has always been remain boutique. And when it was with the kids, like, we want to spend time with our children, so we don't want to not see them. And then it was remain boutique, but it was the remain boutique aspect came to, like, we want to be special. Like, we put our hearts into every single event. So when you get maitre d' and you get, chef who makes an amazing meal and the event is spectacular, you're getting us. Yeah. And we can't duplicate ourselves. So we're not going to do 2 events in a night. Right. We may not do 2 back-to-back events on a Friday and Saturday.
Oh, interesting.
We have.
That's great.
We have. But don't
also,
get me wrong. It's we really have to think about, like, the type of events we take on.
But we've chosen whether we want to do that or not.
Right. Yeah. We have turned down some very lucrative offers. Yeah. And you know what? It was a lot of thought and prayer, because it's like, this is money that we're turning down, right? But we've always had this vision for ourselves that we're going to be boutique, and we are going to, I'm going to put my heart and soul into it.
Yep.
And I don't want to spread myself thin. I don't want to spread you thin because Tom has a full-time job.
Yeah.
So when
wild.
he works, so he has 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And
I've been doing that for 17 years.
I know, and I feel bad about that, but not bad enough that I don't ask him to come
Right.
and work events, right?
Yeah.
But it definitely is. It takes a lot of thought because I don't like to say no, but I do if I feel like it's the best, not only for us but for the client, because I don't want to put on an event that's not 150%.
Right.
I want to walk away feeling like, okay, we did the absolute best we can for this client and they got the best from us.
And we feel the same because I feel exactly the same.
Right.
So when I work an event, I am going to go out of my way to make sure that every single person is taken care of. The VIPs are rocking it, bride and groom, host, hostess,
everybody's
grandparents.
happy.
I'm like that. My job is to make sure that you have the best time. I think that's the perfect compliment for us too, is because you're on that side and I'm on this side, and it's that yin and yang.
Yeah.
No.
So obviously chef, maitre d', like how does the responsibilities of your business kind of get split up, or like who takes on what?
So because we're small, I wear a lot of hats.
You do.
More hats than I probably should. And I've had friends in the industry say you need to hire this, that, and the other thing, and I get it. But so I handle all of the back of the house and the sales. Tom does front of the house. He does the maitre d'. We do the catering. We do the wine, the wine classes. Tom gets me a lot of good clients for wines. We try not to overlap because when we overlap, things don't always go smoothly.
Right.
Because I have a very specific idea of how I want things run.
Yeah.
And he does. So what happens is the night before an event, we will powwow like, okay, who are we going to use for this and that and the other thing? And then, and Tom's really good about it, but I can see he'll get frustrated. He's like, okay, just tell me what you want and I'll just do it. I'm like, no, it's your space. So I have to learn to back off because I'm good at what I do and he's good at what he does. And I have to remember to just kind of let that go.
Yeah.
Because if I try to handle everything, it's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah. You got to do your thing so the other thing works.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah. Independently.
We have our strengths and I need to remember to let it go and let different people do their jobs.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah. You can pull it out later.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll make sure to make a short on that.
Thank
We'll
you.
do a
Exactly.
reel of that one.
I'll make a loop. Just
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your ringtone. That's
let
funny.
Tom do.
No, you talked about the wine. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today, actually. How did you get into? You're a sommelier, like a level
3.
What does that mean? What's the how's the
What are the
hierarchy work?
levels?
So there are different. The program that I went through is WSET, which is the Wine and Spirit Education Trust. They're based out of London. They go up to 4. They go up to level 4 before you hit masters. I'm at level 3, which is considered advanced. My studies started here in the Twin Cities, but have been for levels 2 and 3 have been in Napa Valley. And I tell you, it's mind-boggling because some of these tests are crazy.
A 50% or less passing rate.
It's
wow.
It's
Blind
really,
tastings.
Yeah. It's
And
really
you-
really tough.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Right. So just to kind of give you a brief little story. So I'm in level 3. Level 1 with WSET, they give you the option to skip. I actually thought I knew enough about wines that I'm going to skip this, and I went straight to level 2. Level 2, oh my gosh.
She got spanked.
I like
For real.
I thought I knew enough. I literally barely passed.
So describe what do you do in level 1 versus level 2 versus?
Well, level 1 I skipped, so I can't even talk about
so you
that.
just
Oh, yeah.
you just
I
went right to
skipped it.
level 2.
I just went straight
You're just
to
like
level
shit.
2.
I drink a lot of wine on
Yes.
the weekends.
Yes.
I'm at level 2. Yeah.
I went to level 2. I did my classes at the Napa Valley Wine Academy, and then we did our tests. And I remember taking this test. Tom went off. I took this test, and they're very, very strict in their test taking. And I remember opening up the test, and I looked at the first page, and I'm like, oh crap! Like, I don't know the answers to some of these questions. I went to the second page, felt the same way, and I think at that point panic just set in, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And I literally, when the test was done, I walked out. Tom was waiting for me out in the car. He's super excited. He's like, hey, how did it go?
Oh, no.
I said, just drive.
Yeah.
Just drive. As he's driving, I'm like,
look forward. Don't
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
bawling. I'm like, it was horrible. It was a horrible test. When the results came out, I remember I was working on the computer, watching TV, and I see this email pop up, and the subject was WSET Level 2 results. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be crap. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever. Let's just get it over with. I opened up the email, and it said I passed.
Oh.
And the score was like, here's pass. And here,
Pass fail. That's
yeah,
all it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Like
Doesn't
I was
matter.
so excited. So then when I went to level 3, I took it very seriously.
Well, you didn't want to even do level 3 at first.
Level 3 was a bear. It was a bear, and it's not a test I would want to redo again. I'm a night owl, so during level 3, because the kids are teenagers at this point, Tom's working full time. My study time was 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. 7 days a week.
Yeah.
We've got a kitchen table that we extended, and it's like 9 feet,
Yeah.
and it was full from one side to the other side with wine bottles, with textbooks, with notes, with
everything.
glasses,
I
with
have
everything you can imagine.
I have a
And
photo
it
of it.
sat there
It's
for. We got a photo of it.
months.
It sat there for like 6 months.
Send
And
us the
every-
photo and we're going to post it.
Every
yeah,
night.
just
Every night she was there, and it was
Crazy.
like we ate dinner around our the kitchen
the counter.
the countertop
Wherever
because
we could.
because you couldn't move this stuff because
Right.
for her too,
Yeah.
she's like her mind was so set that if you move it, she's like, don't displace this because I gotta
Right.
have a rhythm.
And you have to get back to where you
Right.
left
Yeah.
off.
Right.
And like that's not
Yeah.
even that's not a small time, energy, money, I imagine,
No,
commitment at
it was,
all.
It was a
No.
lot. And I will tell you, so the reason we did that was because in 2019, we decided that we were going to move on to our next dream,
Yep.
which was to open a wine bar.
Oh, okay.
So that
In
was
2019.
In
Well,
20
no.
Well,
Oh,
it gets
I'm
better.
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. This dream had been
It was
percolating
several years
Yeah.
of percolating.
For years.
In
For
years.
In the fall of 2019, we finally found a
2019.
spot. It was
Yeah.
it might have been like October, November. We found a spot. We had an actual building.
Right. Well, 2019 was when we finally decided we're going
Going all in.
all in.
Yeah.
We worked with a commercial realtor. We did all of our homework, got funding from our bank, did everything, found an architect, found the designer, everything. Like
PR,
everything
all of
was
it.
set. We had a consultant. The only thing we were waiting for is to sign the dotted line.
I remember this story.
Yep, sign the dotted line. We find a spot that we liked, and then our consultant said, "Hold off. I just looked at your numbers, and it's not shaken up. Let's talk about this." And so we talked about it. He brought in his accountant. We talked some more, and he's like, I just don't feel good about this. Let's just hold
Hang
off.
tight.
Let's just hold off. We go on spring break with
That
the
was
kids.
March.
That was March 2020.
And I think we had a phone call with him around like the 14th while we were in
Well,
Mexico or something.
yes.
Or an email or something. And he's like, wait.
He said, just hold off.
Like sleep on it, basically.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
sleep on
Yes.
it. Give it like
Yes.
another week. Let's figure it out.
Yes. We're in Mexico, March 2020, and as you know,
Yeah.
that's when the crap just hits them.
So it was like a
Dun,
blessing in
dun.
disguise,
Yeah.
like that it.
Yeah, because we were flying back, and I get a text from my job that said, "Don't come in on Monday." And we're like, okay, this is serious. And then the holding pattern was, well, let's wait to see if this passes. And we were like, well, I mean, we didn't know anything about COVID, but we're like, well, maybe it's like a flu. It's going to be fine. You know.
Yeah, we all thought like,
we'll get a
14
couple
days
weeks out, right?
to slow the spread.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Everyone's working from home for a couple of weeks, and it's a vacation, right? And I remember being on spring break when all this happened, and I literally woke up in the middle of the night with a panic attack. I'm like, we have everything on the line here. Like, everything is ready to go. And this happens. Like, I don't even know what to do at this point. And of course, there's nothing to do. Like,
we intentionally scaled down catering because we were going to ramp up the wine bar. And then we were going to re-ramp up catering because we were going to have the wine bar and the catering kind of be sister companies where one could provide the liquor and the wine and everything. So that was kind of our plan. Yeah. So then in 2020 hit, then it was like, okay, now you just got slapped with everything stopped. Wine dream stopped. Yeah. Catering's like, well, now we got to try to figure out how to re-ramp up catering. Yeah. And when do we ramp that up?
Yeah.
Is it
2050
when it happens?
Right.
There's no catering.
It wasn't that much longer because a few months. I mean, it was more than a few months later. But I was all of a sudden doing a tasting with you guys at Aria. And I was like masked up, sitting.
Yes.
Remember the table setup? It was like 8 foot and 8 foot and like 8 foot going around.
Like a giant boardroom.
I'm sitting 20 feet away from like
and then there's
Tom
Kelly,
or whatever, you know.
Projecting their voice across the room.
I've never worn a mask and gloves catering, and I'm like,
and you guys killed it. And it was, I think, just Kelly and I.
Was it? And Allie.
And Allie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome, and you guys killed it.
Thank you.
Like you always do.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So did your accountant just have a feeling, or did he see some numbers, or did he know information ahead of time?
No, our consultant, I had all these numbers projected for 3 years. And he looked at the numbers, and he's like, it's not meshing. Like he
numbers
just
aren't
wasn't
numbering.
He wasn't feeling it.
It was meant to be that moment was meant to happen.
And that was it.
No, he said he said we need to relook at these numbers because it doesn't look right to me. Like your number, something doesn't look right with the numbers. And so Tom and I were like, okay, well, he's not feeling it, so we need to just kind of put a pause and rethink this. And next thing you know, it's
you were like ready to go.
We were ready to go.
Yeah, you were ready to go. All you needed was him to be like, let's do it.
The blessing I have about my wife is that she's not, she doesn't just snap and go and do something without thought. She's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Almost anal.
No, but I think it's good. But I think that's the insurance background too. Of like,
yeah.
Like,
no, but that's
risk
assessment.
Risk assessment.
Exactly.
I mean, realistically, there's a lot of people who would have just been like, you know what, like we're gonna do this. Like I believe 100%. In it. The numbers are right.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times, like that's a lesson I've had to learn the hard way, which is like being patient about certain things. Like if it's not coming easy, maybe it's not meant to come at all. Right. And like sometimes when I try to force things, it's like that was not the right decision, and like I should have taken a step back.
Yeah.
And I had not completely similar, but sort of similar thing where I had signed on a lease on a space because I left my full-time salaried position in December of 2019, which was great and very smart. It was the best decision and to start Bigger Picture Solutions, right? And so we were going to be running this space, and when I showed up to sign the lease, the person who I was signing it with hadn't brought the copy of the lease. I thought they were. And the only version I had was a draft version. And it said draft all over it in big letters, you know. And we were like, well, we'll just sign it anyways, right? Whatever, no big deal. And then like 2 weeks later, I was like, it's a draft. It's a draft.
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Yes. You know what? And in our situation, yes, our consultant had our back for sure. Pat Weber, little shout out to him. But also, I think we were having some delays with the landlord in trying to negotiate. And everything was so slow. And I remember saying to Tom, why is everything taking so long? Well, guess what? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a reason why everything... I truly believe everything happens for a reason.
And I'll never go shoulda. I never will go, what could it be today if we would have done it? because I think
lost
that
your shirts.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I think, honestly, I'm very proud of my wife of where we are today. I think we smash it.
Yeah.
I'm honored when and Thao will say, this bride and groom are moving their wedding date because they want us to cater. Or we were at Machine Shop and they said, I was talking to Lauren, and she's like, yeah, there's an event coming up, and this bride was super just giddy about this caterer, and she's like, which caterer? Oh, Green Mangoes is going to cater for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do not take that for granted ever. I love that. I eat that up. So this is meant to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be a wine bar. It wasn't meant to be something else.
Yeah.
We're not meant to be a huge caterer. We're meant to be, you get us every time.
Yeah.
I have
go ahead, bro.
Sorry, I had a specific question when you were talking about 2020 and everything, because my wedding was in August of 2020, so I got an experience of.
And who catered that, Alex?
Yeah, really?
Don't remember.
You don't remember?
Green Mangoes, I'd remember.
It better be Lunds or something, because it wasn't us.
Actually, now I remember. It was
Kowalski's.
specifically.
It was a potluck, right? Yeah.
It was specifically in house. We couldn't really bring an outside caterer in
because it was 2020.
It was 2020, and that was actually my question. Was because in 2020 we know that our guest count had to be specific to 40, and that included catering and all that stuff. So my question is, did you guys? Because I know I was furloughed and all that stuff, and I know everybody had to downsize. Were you doing catering? I'm assuming you were doing catering during 2020. And if so, was it just you two? Was it just you four?
In 2020,
we didn't do anything.
We had, I think, 2 events.
Yeah, it was barely anything.
It was.
Well, you'd already scaled down, which
that
I
was
mean, in
part
some
of the
ways
challenge.
is a blessing because you didn't have to do all these refunds. You didn't have to fight with people. I mean, that was half of it.
You know what? Part of the blessing was because we were scaling down with catering, because we thought this wine bar was going to happen. There wasn't a lot of cancellation. Well, there wasn't any cancellations that we had to do on our part because there wasn't anything on the books because we thought this wine bar was going to happen.
Yeah.
But 2020, I literally think we had 2 events, and even going into 2021,
it was limited.
It was very limited. I mean, just like everybody else,
stressful too.
We made it by the skin of our teeth, right? To try to keep things going.
Well, you have 2 incomes, so we have my income and we have Tao's income that we're blending together, and now we're like, okay, now we're down to 1. And I mean,
and that's totally good because your income is really good, but it was
still stressful because we rely on your income for a lot too,
for various things. Yeah. Right. And so, it was a hard time for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody in the industry. So obviously it wasn't just us, but it was just hard for everybody. And I think the thing that was really sad for me was I would log online to whatever news article I was reading, and I would see each day there'd be a different restaurant that closed or different different this and
the casualties
just kept
in the
growing
Twin Cities.
and growing, and it was just these are people that we know. These are establishments that we have exactly right, and they're gone because they just couldn't keep up.
And it's natural for restaurants to go out of business or to end and things, but to have it all happen in such a condensed time frame, and it just, I think a lot of that stuff, if it would have happened in a normal year, a normal time, it'd be oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
But I think it was that the hits kept coming, right? It was salt in a wound over and over and over. And now that, and now this.
Now all my favorite spots are gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's going to be nothing good to go back to when we can get back to normal. That sort of started to feel that way.
And I was very impressed when I started seeing restaurants opening up, new. I'm like, dang, I give them props, right? They're brave, and some of them are still open.
But the
today.
restaurant scene today is pretty cool.
Yeah,
in the Twin Cities, a lot of good places.
Come back with a vengeance.
Absolutely.
In a good way.
In good.
Oh, absolutely.
In a
very
really
good
good way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I think you guys kind of popped off even harder now.
Yes,
you kind
we
of said
did.
you were scaling down a little bit on catering.
Yeah.
To do the wine bar.
Yep.
But then we did the tasting in 2020, and I swear to now you're on everybody's list.
Yeah.
Since then,
I
feel like you've grown a lot.
We
have grown a lot. We've had a number of venues reach out to us, and to your point, Jessica, we we can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I would love to, but I can't. So unfortunately, we have had to say no to some. But they're like, you know what? What if that right client just comes? Can we still reach out to you? And I said, absolutely. You know, because I want to keep those connections.
Yeah.
I think what COVID did for our business is it made me realize that we need to be involved in this industry. We need to network. We need to meet people and build those relationships, because prior to that, we didn't. I don't know why, but we didn't. But now it's like, oh my gosh, Jessica, Espa, Alex, my gosh, Patrick, you know, all these people, all these people in our industry that we've met, that we have connected with, that we've become friends with.
Yep.
Like, I
Good people.
cherish those friendships.
Yeah, it reminds you to like, yeah, we're doing a job. Yeah, we're working.
Yeah.
But it is the relationships.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, like, what the hell are we doing any of it
Right.
for? Yeah,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you can't get out of, like, if you can't go into COVID and lose everything, essentially, not that you did or anything like that, but go to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have any friends when you're
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have people to commiserate about the things or to have these kind of conversations and be able to, like, you know, talk about things that are difficult or things that you're excited about or how you handle things. I think that those kind of relationships are huge. And it's also like, to a certain extent, it's like, you know, we're not like advertising to one another like as a venue, right? So like, I'm not going out and reading a magazine where I can read about all the caterers or something like that. Like, the way that I find out about them and get to know them is by going to events and meeting them. And I know you were in operation before COVID, but I didn't really know anything about your business before then. And I definitely remember meeting you in person and being like, oh, now I know who they are. Now I have like a face to go with it. And like, it just gives it a little bit more impact and a little more like personal touch when they can do that. So I think it's really important. And I'm glad you guys are doing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This episode is sponsored by IMAV, an innovative and leading audiovisual company based in the Twin Cities. If you're looking to elevate your next event, all you have to do is reach out to the team at IMAV. They'll put together a package that not only fits your budget, but takes your event to the next level. IMAV strives to not only be a resource, but an asset to the success of your event. Whether you need video, audio, or lighting, the professionals at IMAV can execute and run your meeting or event flawlessly. Their team is a dream to work with and always deliver a final product that leaves guests blown away. Find them online at imav.pro. Use promo code EVENTLIFE when you contact them to receive 30% off all equipment rentals for your first event. Again, go to imav.pro to lock in the best audiovisual vendor for your next event. Going back to the sommelier stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys want to taste some wines?
We would love to see some wines.
I have.
I didn't know we were doing this.
Let's do this.
We don't have to, but I mean,
We're
I
gonna
have
do
some
this.
reds.
Yeah. Are we going to have a few
minute.
wines to try?
Yeah, so I have some reds. I only have a couple whites. You're drinking one of them.
I want to try the red.
Okay, let's do a little, and then you can kind of like educate us on like what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Because to me it's grape juice.
Yeah.
Like how to serve this wine to you.
Yeah.
Just
So
tell us if we're doing it wrong. If he
Okay.
like puts in the wrong glass.
Disclaimer,
Yeah.
I'm a wine consumer. She's the
You guys just got
Som.
back from Napa, not?
Yeah, it was a
did.
blast too. It was probably
Have
one
you
of the
been?
one of the better
Oh.
vacations
Yes.
ever.
Never.
Jessica?
Never been.
Never. Take
I
me
have-
with next
Put
year.
will
that
take you
on your
with.
list.
Yeah.
We love it.
I've been to the wine region in New Zealand,
Event Life
which was
TV will
really
come.
amazing.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
That would be
It was
super awesome.
so fun. Yes, I love a good New Zealand white. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that just sounds.
So actually,
Really
I
good.
have 6
Okay.
different wines that are red. We're not going to open them all. 'Cause
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
what
that's like
what are
ways
we-
much. But these are all Aria wines.
Oh yeah.
So when Aria was closing, we had a shitload
love
of
it.
product left over, and I got a couple bottles.
I got a couple of miles too. So
That's awesome. So, okay, let's see. What you got? Okay. Okay. Famous director. Yes.
Do you need the
Pino.
maitre d' to open or?
We'll pick 2,
Okay.
or maybe 3 or something like that.
Okay.
Depending on what you want to taste.
All right.
And
I'm gonna
the
see.
Som will tell you that
Merlot.
screw cap is
No, I have no.
just as good as
Just as good, yeah.
just as good as a
Yes.
cork.
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll pick a couple or a few,
Are we getting?
and yes.
All right. Let's do a couple. Let's do this. Let's do this one for sure.
Is that the cab?
This is the California cab. Just
Oh,
because.
cab,
I
yeah.
love cab.
Yeah. It's okay, and then I'm going.
I'm like, I don't know shit about wine. I'm like, I'm a cab dude.
I love it. I love it.
Love a good
Thank you.
Cabernet.
All right.
I'm very not good about red wines. I'm not very educated about them.
Well, we are going to talk.
Hear the sound of that beautiful music.
Good ASMR.
If you've not heard the
Red
music,
wine
let me
to
play
me
it
tastes
again.
like it doesn't want to be wet. Have you heard that? Like, people are talking about how like cranberry juice tastes like it doesn't really want to be wet, and that's how red wine tastes to me too.
There's two.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you
All
want to red?
We're going to.
Or
Yes, I
do
do.
you wanna-
And then are these guys? Which is this?
This is the cab.
This
I've
is
got
the
one.
cab.
There's some little ones.
Okay,
that Alex
and then
knows
let's
guys on.
do the Pinot for the second.
We can also do these cups.
Okay.
Here's the Pinot. Oh, I give
This
you
this can be a dump glass or something. if we
a
need
dump.
Yeah.
it. If we're unless
If we're
jogging,
gonna dump,
If we're dumping, I don't know.
There's an Oregon Pinot, which I just kind of lost track of.
So technically,
Yeah.
Alex,
Is
is
it
there
this
too many
one?
bottles in the way? Should we consolidate here?
I
Here,
mean,
open
you
this
have
one for the
6 or
Pinot.
3.
do you want me
We're
to open
doing
it now?
2, right? We're doing a California.
I'll get rid of
cab
whatever we're not
sauce.
having.
Whatever
so
you're
we
not
have
using,
And then this one.
Pass
And then
me
the
over
Pinot.
whatever we're not gonna try.
We're not going to do this.
The Noble Vines.
Or this. Well,
We could.
yeah. We're gonna.
We
we're
can
gonna do-
yeah we can pull another
Yeah.
one out of the hat
Yeah.
if we need to.
Okay, we'll
I
start
got a
with these
buddy
two.
who likes that right there. Oh yeah.
Okay, and then we're gonna do this Pinot
Yep,
for
so
the
I
second red.
Yep. Do you want me to open that now?
Well, we should probably let it decant.
Let it breathe a little bit.
Let's start with the Pinot,
That's
and
right. I
then we'll
forgot.
go into the
you
cab.
have to decant. It's best to do it for like
Well-
30 minutes or something, right? Or an
well,
hour.
you know-
said an hour or something.
It depends on the wine. It depends on the wine. So, are we going to start with? Let's start with the Pinot. I
Oh
think we need
jeez.
to pour the Pinot.
I need to.
So the Pinot Noir.
Oh wait, we're on
this is
the.
an-
We have mostly cabs poured already,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, then let's start. Let's pour. Oh, okay.
We'll
so
do it
we're-
backwards.
We'll go backwards.
We'll do it
I'll
against
do a little
the
cab.
sommelier
Okay.
routine.
Shame, shame, shame. Listen to the expert.
Cut all this out and just look like we know what we were doing.
And
we
we're
had
back.
this planned.
Let's start with the
There you go.
Pinot.
Do you want some?
Let's
Yeah,
start
I
with
would
the
love it.
Pinot.
Here, you
Okay,
take this
then
one.
this
Okay,
is the
then this
Pinot.
And then
One more for
Then-
Jess.
yeah, let's do
Yes.
more
Okay,
of
this is the Pinot. So who wants this one?
Okay, we'll give that to Jess.
Oh, we're mix and matching now.
Okay, this is the Pinot. We're gonna start with the Pinot.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a. It's
What do I
a.
have?
You have the cab.
Okay,
and
let
then
me
I
do
need
it
a Pinot.
plastic.
Yeah.
I need the plastic.
Okay, we got the plastic.
It's not gonna decant properly.
No, it's not. But you know.
You'll definitely be able to tell.
Okay,
us
all
that,
right.
All right,
and
Mr.
then
Wine Guy.
Esteban,
He's got
I
the
need
cab.
a.
He
I
needs
got a
a
cab. I
he needs a
another-
Pinot, honey.
Slide that bad boy down.
right. So the thing to know about a Pinot Noir, it is
you go,
a
That is a heavy tasting
that is a
pour.
that is a heavy.
He knows
I
my
know-
style.
I know how to take care of people.
Okay, so
we call that a
which
pretty
one's
girl
on the
pour,
right side?
The right side is the cab,
Right side's cab,
And then the
then
left side's the
Pinot's
Pinot.
left. Okay.
I just have.
so we're going to do a little bit of our.
You just the Pinot. I'll get you a cab.
We're going to do a little bit of our wine class here. So, what I love about the Pinot Noir is very. It's a finicky grape. Doesn't play well with others. You are not going to see a Pinot Noir generally in a blend or an inexpensive wine because it's finicky. It gives winemakers a headache. It doesn't mix well. It's a thin-skinned, cool climate grape. So because of all these factors, it does tend to be a more expensive wine. I used to not like Pinots, and then I realized it was because I was drinking the wrong Pinot, and also I was pairing it with the wrong foods. So the Pinot tonight is from Oregon, and Oregon is known for their Pinots. It's a more cool climate.
Let's say what the name is too. That's the
What is
Elouan.
it?
Elouan Pinot Noir.
Okay, so the proper way, minus the plastic cup, the proper way is you will smell it,
Okay.
you will swirl it, smell it again, you swish, slurp, and swallow. All right, did you guys get that?
This feels like an ASMR segment of this. Like,
Okay. Smell, swirl.
I don't know
Smell.
if I did that right. I did that
And
right.
like-
Alex, do you guys want some over there?
Yeah, you should.
Let's hook up the
And-
guys over here.
Take a class.
And my wife tells me to put your nose in it.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
You
Alex.
mentioned grapes.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned grapes.
Grapes, yes.
Obviously, that's what wine is made out of.
Yes.
My question is this. because I hope I'm not alone on this, and I'd feel really bad if I am alone. I always thought there was two types of grapes, white or like green grapes and red. Are you making okay? Are there like 1,000 different types of grapes, or are the grapes taste different? They're all the same, but they taste different because of how they are, how
like
they
the
are
environmental
grown, the
surroundings?
environment it's surrounded by. Is that what causes them to have a different taste, or are they 1,000 different types of grapes that I had no idea about?
So great questions. There are lots and lots of grape varietals. For example, Italy has hundreds of grape varietals that are indigenous to just Italy. That's just Italy. So Pinot Noir is a grape varietal. Depending on so yes, there are lots of grapes. That's the first part of your question. The second part is what you're mentioning is the terroir, which has to do with like the sunlight, the amount of rain. Were the grapes grown on north facing or south facing? Because if they're north facing, they should be in the southern hemisphere. If they're south facing, they should be. So there's all these variables that affect the flavor and the aroma of the grape. But it also comes down to the winemaker, right? So if I'm a winemaker in California and I have lots, and California has a Mediterranean climate, lots of sunshine, where the grapes have a long harvesting season, I'm going to get a different type of wine than I would, let's say, Oregon, where it's rainy, cloudy, not as sunny, shorter season. Pinot Noir in California and Pinot Noir in Oregon will be two different flavors. This is the Pinot in Oregon. It's going to not be as jammy. It's going to be more medium bodied. It will be fruit flavored, more like black fruit, and it's going to have more earthy tones to it versus something like a Pinot in California where it's going to be more jammy, lots of fruit, depending on how it was aged, was it cedar? So you're going to get two different styles just based on where the grapes are grown.
When you say jammy, do you mean like fruity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you think of jam, right, it's going to be more of like this
concentrated,
deep,
jammy kind of
concentrated, very fruity type flavor.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Did you blow my mind once when you told me that the Pinot Noir and the Pinot Grigio grape grow on the same vine or something like that?
So the Pinot Noir grape is a genetically unstable grape, which means on a vine where it would normally be mostly black grapes, you will see occasional clusters of white or gray.
Gray?
Yes. And those white or gray grapes, do not get me wrong, they do not get thrown away. They become your Pinot Gris and your Pinot Grigio. So the winemakers will still use those grapes. It's just that they're not your black grapes. It's going to be white or gray.
Pinot Gris is gray? Is that like...
Yeah. Well,
did that just like completely like make a connection in my brain all of a sudden that I'm like, oh yeah, the word gray. Okay.
So Pinot Gris, French style, Pinot Grigio, Italian style.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Versus Pinot Noir.
It blew my mind again.
Yeah. It's just that these little grapes, they have a tiny mutation in the DNA, which causes it to either be black or white or gray.
Yep.
But on the same vine.
On the same vine.
That is what blew my mind.
I know.
Because like you think of like a tree and it produces basically the same consistent fruit, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's really not like is there a lot? I wonder if there's a lot of fruits like that grow a variety of. Right?
I don't
Like, there's
think
not
so.
a lot. Is
think
there a lot?
so.
No.
Well,
Let's get our. No, just.
yeah, like
Alex, Google
Could
that.
you-
Google some
yeah.
things. Yeah.
No.
Chat GPT.
But seriously, like that, it's really interesting. Like
I mean,
I know
you can
a lot
like
of.
splice fruits together to make
Yeah.
them grow like different kinds of apples on the same apple tree and
Well,
stuff.
that's how you
But
have to grow
that's-
apples because they
yeah.
don't grow true to seed. So you can take a seed out of a Honeycrisp apple, and it will not produce Honeycrisp apples. It will grow
Really?
you
Say
a
what?
rootstock. You will grow. So what you need to do is you need to find somebody with.
You
and
just blew my
I know
mind.
this as matter of fact. I'm a tree guy.
He's a plant.
And,
I love it.
I know this is fact.
Okay.
How is this coming out now? I've known you for so long, and now I know you're a tree
I'll-
guy.
He's a tree guy.
That's my
Esteban
this
the
little
tree guy?
bonsai back
He's
there. No,
actually a
that's shit
plant
one,
guy. He has like
That's
a
a shit
thousand
one.
Is this real?
plants.
It's
Yeah.
real. It's a.
I
They
killed
call it
mine.
like an elephant plant.
Tao
but
got me
it's
when
a,
I killed it.
It's whatever the
take
fuck
long.
they call it. I can't remember, but so yeah, apples. What you need to do if you want to produce Honeycrisp apples is you need to get a cutting, and you need to take a root stock plant. So you need to grow a seed from an apple, and it'll grow. And at a certain point, you cut it and you splice on this other part of the other apple tree, and then it'll grow you the same fruit. So you need a mother plant to grow.
Wow.
The apples.
I literally just
I'm
learned
like,
something
I have
new.
no
this
idea.
podcast is not just fun; it's educational.
It's educational.
Right.
We're
Looking at
here
the
to teach
camera right
you
now.
some stuff. I think pears are like that, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of other things similar to like apples that are not true to seed. So, like avocados, you could plant 10,000 avocado seeds, and you might not ever get an edible avocado.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that's good
Yep.
to know.
And that's why you got like the Haas avocado. You only have like 2 or 3 varieties, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Go try to grow a seed. Take out of a Haas avocado and
It
try to
doesn't
grow
work,
that thing,
does it?
and it will not produce you the same fruit. It will look weird. It'll be not tasty.
Really?
It won't have the same fatty.
So they splice those the same way, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's
Like
why-
if you want a Haas avocado, you got to go to a Haas avocado farmer and get a cutting
Yeah.
and put it on the tree. So
Yeah. You know what? That reminds me.
I'm impressed.
One year when our daughter Jasmine was in, she's in school, and they were doing this project where you're trying to grow something. I think we literally took a cabbage and we cut off the root of the cabbage, stuck it in
So
water,
amazing.
and thought we would get a cabbage.
I think we got-
did not get a
no,
cabbage.
we
You
did
know
not.
what
We got
does
some
that?
mold. We got mold.
You
we
know
got a
like
moldy
these
root.
fruit fly bugs that
So
wouldn't
this is
leave.
a trick with green onions. I don't know if you know
Oh,
that.
this I've done. Yeah.
So
Wait,
green
what?
onions, you cut off the green part and you eat that, right? You splice it
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
you garnish, right?
Yeah.
Plant the bulb,
and it
you will-
regrows.
Like in 2 weeks, you'll have new
Yeah.
green.
In water or soil?
You put it in soil and just water that
Really?
little
I love
puppy,
that.
and you will have everlasting green onion. So,
Wow. Okay.
I've tested it. It's cool. So like when
Really?
you can go to the store and buy just regular green onion with the bulb on the end.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's a root.
It is a root.
It's like a hairy even and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like you put that little devil. Yeah, it's awesome. So
Oh my
I need to
god.
I'm
have you come to
surprised
my
you
house
didn't know
and
that.
fix my
honestly.
plant.
I am not a farmer. I do not have a green thumb. I kill a lot of things.
You do not have a
So-
green thumb.
Sorry to change the subject back to wine.
Yeah, back to wine.
Bring it back.
Yeah,
Balance.
sorry, we're
Yeah,
reeling her
yeah.
back.
You're good. You're good.
This
It's
is not a
really
farming
informative.
podcast.
It's really cool to hear. My next question
would be, where did your passion for wine come from? Because like,
Oh yeah, good
Oh, good
question.
question.
yeah, you were talking about how
Yeah.
you love food and everything, and then
Yeah.
you were talking about your second love or your second passion. Where
Yes.
did that come from?
So, I mean, with food, right? Food and wine is just like zing, what is it? Zing and zang?
Yin and yang.
Yang and
Zing and zang.
It's late. It's late here.
Okay, listen.
We're drinking wine.
Yes, we are. It's and English is not my first language, or is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we can tell you that. So.
Oh, I should. I had no idea.
All right, we should pause on the wine tasting.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
food and wine just go hand in hand, right? And I feel like as I got to know more about food, as I studied food, as I love food, I felt like the food experience was just elevated with good wine. And it took me a
So-
long time.
Drinking it or using it in cooking, or both.
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
Both.
Yeah.
Both. What I have learned. Okay, so let's segue real quick. What I have learned when you're cooking with wine, I made the mistake one time. I used a really nice French Burgundy in a dish, and it completely overpowered.
Oh, wow.
Completely overpowered the dish. When you're cooking with a wine, don't go for something expensive. Go for something go for something mid. It doesn't
Go get that
it's
$3
drinkable.
buck chuck or whatever.
Yes, of course. It needs to be drinkable.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It needs to be drinkable,
There's
but it
probably
doesn't
some
need.
$3 chuck we could drink.
Of
Yeah,
course,
a few of
but
them.
it doesn't need to be expensive. So back to your question, Alex. I have learned to love wine. Back in college, when everyone was drinking beer, I'm the girl at the bar ordering wine. But
Classy.
Oh yeah.
like White
Boone's
Zinfandel.
Farm?
Yeah, I don't care.
I got like a headache
I was gonna
just
say
saying
the
that out
sandal
loud.
one.
I know.
And I didn't know how to drink wine until I met my wife, and I
Yeah.
probably didn't even eat well until I met you.
Well,
For
real.
you're looking skinny, Tom.
yeah. and what I learned
Your
was-
cholesterol looks really good.
yeah, cholesterol looks really good.
Let's pull up
Thank
the
you.
charts.
Test came out today.
And what I learned was with the right wine pairing, my dish, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
is now so much better. And so it interested me enough where I decided, I'm going to take a class. So I took my first wine class here in the Twin Cities. It was a 4-month class, learned a ton. And then I realized I want to learn more. And so therefore it took me on to my years of study. And I love it. I love being able to explain to somebody, hey, yes, you got a great dish, scallops. Let's talk about what you want to pair it with. Because that scallop dish, now with that right wine pairing, is going to elevate your experience. Now, all of us.
Back and forth too, because it's like there's certain wines where like I wouldn't necessarily want to sit down and drink this, just like sit and talk. But if I was eating something that was complementary to this, I can see how that would like just bring everything together in a better way.
Yes, and good point. Just because I feel like with I mentioned earlier, I used to not like Pinots because I was drinking the wrong Pinot, and I was drinking the wrong Pinot with the wrong food. But I feel like with the right food, and we don't need to go crazy, people. Like the main thing, wine is so personal, and this is something that I teach in my classes. Wine is so personal. I can serve you a $10 bottle that you will love, and I can serve you a $100 bottle that you will hate. And it all comes down to your preference and what you're eating, right? So let's move on from the Pinot and go into the Cab. Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just was like,
I'm already
the other
on
one.
my
All
cab,
right,
just so
all
you know.
That's been decanting for a
I
while.
believe this is a California Cab. So California Cabs, they have become blockbusters. Like California does a fabulous job with their Cabernet Sauvignon. I call it Cab Sauv. It's a small, thick-skinned black grape, and the cabs are powerful, right? So it is, depending on what you're eating, I would say this is a great wine. I've never had this wine, but I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty familiar with the California Cab Sauvs. I'm going to say this is a powerful wine. I'm going to say it's fruit forward because California, lots of sunshine, which means it had a long season to grow before it was harvested. But the thing about the Cab Sauv grape is it needs the time to
Breathe.
Well, it needs to breathe. Most California Cab Sauvs need to breathe. And when I say that, I would say, can you drink it when you first open it? You can, but you will enjoy it more if you open it, let it breathe, and come back to it 30 minutes at least, 1 hour if you have the time. And when I say let it breathe, I don't just mean open up, pop the cork, because that opening is too small to actually breathe. If you have a decanter, use the decanter. If you don't, pour it into a glass, let it sit 30, 45 minutes, come back to it, it'll be ready. All right, so let's try this Cab and see what we think. Yeah?
I've been drinking it since we've started the conversation. So
Yes, I'm sure you
think
How
it's
are we
have.
pretty
supposed
good.
to drink it?
I'm sure. Okay, so did you hear? So we're going to smell
Is
it?
it the same thing as the Pinot?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The same style, right? So we're going to smell it, swirl it, smell it. We're going to sniff it, slurp it, swish it, swallow it. Lots of S's.
Yeah, is there like a helpful acronym to remember those steps?
Patrick.
Oh Oh shit! That was so good.
That was sneaky.
A bunch of snakes in here.
Yes.
There's an air leak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I can taste I can taste blueberry. I can taste like lots of black fruit, black pepper.
The pepper, I can definitely taste that.
Yeah, some cedar. Can you taste a blueberry?
I think so. I don't feel like I have like the most nuanced palate.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. Definitely some earthiness. So when you are tasting an earthy wine, you're going to taste it more. For me, anyhow, I'm going to taste it more in my palate. When I'm tasting a wine that's more fruity, it'll be more of a nasal. I will smell it more versus the palate for the earthy. So fruity for the nose, earthy for the palate.
So do they, because you were talking about peppery,
Yes.
blackberry, and all that stuff, they actually do put all that stuff in there when they're mixing it? Or is it just something that you're
Just the flavors.
recognizing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So great question. So when a wine is, when a winemaker is making a wine, there are chemical compounds called esters that are produced. And these esters have similar aromas and flavors of other fruits and foods. And as these chemical compounds break down, you'll get more of those flavors. And so people will think, okay, so if I taste rosemary, was there rosemary growing nearby? Maybe, but more than likely it's these esters from the fermentation that breaks down, and it replicates the smell and the aroma of rosemary. Mm-hmm.
So it's like really not there.
It may or may
We just taste it as those things.
Yeah, you know, and
You're not gonna. Yeah, if you taste popcorn, did it?
yeah,
Yeah, it's more like the
I'm like, does that
Or
exist?
butter.
That sounds
Yes.
good.
Yeah, well,
Ooh.
because if you think about like a blueberry,
Oh,
what
like
does
a
a blueberry
Chardonnay or
taste like? It
something
tastes like
maybe?
a blueberry,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
But
buttery.
it really tastes like, you know, that sharp taste, that earthy
Yeah.
taste. You know, like not specifically blueberries, but they're
Yes.
like it's a combination of different flavors that are hitting your tongue and your palate in different ways. And so it's just has some of those same elements in that wine that
Exactly.
remind you of that blueberry
Right,
taste or
right.
remind you of that pepper. And that's why
Right.
I feel like sometimes people have like they can taste different things, and it's
Yeah.
probably up to the individual palate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will tell you, my first wine class, there was a guy in my class, and he kept, whenever he drank a certain white wine, he kept saying he tasted chicken. and at first we're like, we laughed, you know, it's kind of funny, ha. And then he kept tasting it, and then we got irritated. We're like, okay, stop saying chicken. And then I tasted a wine, and I'm like, it tastes like chicken.
Yeah,
You know, so it does it.
personal.
Wine is very personal, and that's what I tell everybody. Wine is very personal, and really, it's sometimes maybe there are certain aromas that are brought up to memory from growing up, and when I taste this wine, it brings up those memories.
I
You
have
know?
another question because
Yes.
this is actually going back to your test. So I don't know why, but I'm finding this wine conversation very intriguing.
Yes.
You said that it's very personal.
Yeah.
The taste is different. What was on the test? Because that's where I'm confused. Is in my mind when I'm thinking of this test that wine sommeliers go through.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's about flavor. So
Yeah.
like what, like you're matching flavor
Yeah.
with whatever the wine is or the region is.
Yeah.
What is on this test?
So, okay, so when I did my level 3, we got a red wine and we got a white wine, and of course it came in black bottles. The labels are completely covered up. You have
And
no
you
idea.
can't tell in the glass whether it's a white wine or a.
Well, no, you can't. You can for this.
Okay.
You can for this. So, but you have no idea what the wine is. The reason I say it's personal, I think what I mean by that is it's personal because I might like it and you may not. I might serve it with a chicken dish or a fish dish, and I think it's a perfect pairing, but it may not connect to you. That's what I mean by it's very personal. But in terms of test taking, there are basic parameters that you just have to learn. And so during these blind tastings, we have a whole sheet, spreadsheet about if you're drinking this certain wine, these are certain things that you need. There's like primary aromas, secondary, tertiary, which comes from the aging process. And then it tests like the body. Is it you talk about the tannins. Is it light, medium, high tannins, acidity? So there's all these other factors that goes into the tasting and the test that you have to know and understand. What you taste above that is where it becomes personal. So when I did my level 3 test, it was difficult because it was especially difficult because I went into this test with a really bad head cold.
That'd be very hard.
It was really hard.
This was level 3?
This is level 3. I went into it and I did not allow myself to take any type of
Like
cold medicine. I could not because it would block off my
Your senses.
nasal
Yeah.
and my palate. So when you walk in, the first thing you do is the blind tasting. And so I had my white glass, I had my red glass, and I just had to like power through it. And once I was done, I felt like I did well enough to move on. Once I was done, then I allowed myself to take some Dayquil just to get through the written portion of the test. But I'm telling you, without the nasal and the palate, it's hard. It's hard because you depend on that.
Right.
You depend on that to go through the checklist. Like I have this mental checklist. Like going into this test, I had, for example, like
Goes back to that picture.
I was so, yeah, I'll send you this picture, but I was so specific. It gave you X number of time, X number of minutes to finish this test. My goal was to finish 15 minutes earlier so that I can have the last 15 minutes to go back and double check everything. I was very specific, very methodic in how I was going to do this test, but it was the blind tasting that was especially difficult because of my head cold.
And you passed it.
I passed it with flying colors.
Yeah. This is a bit of a random question, but
yes.
Okay, just for starters, have you had COVID?
Yes, I did.
Did you lose your sense of taste or smell?
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell because we weren't catering at the time.
Sure.
So I didn't need to. Okay. But I don't know.
No, you didn't.
I
feel like you
You
would
didn't.
know if you did.
You
I
would
think.
recognize
You're
it.
like,
I?
Tom,
I
that
don't
food
know.
sucks
Okay.
today.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's like I think it's a noticeable difference.
Is it like you completely lose it?
I only lost mine like very, very temporarily, like for a day, and I was like, wait, why can't I smell? Like it was very disconcerting.
Well,
like,
what did you think? Because during that time we weren't catering, so it's not like I needed to be on be on mark.
There's something about you that like when I get sick.
You're
when
a
she
baby,
gets
you're
sick.
in the bed and
Oh,
she's
he's a
bringing
baby.
you.
If
I'm the same way.
if Thao stubs her toe, I break my foot. That's how how exaggerated it is for us. So you've never.
I don't.
You didn't lose your taste of anything, or smell or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you were good.
I had a friend who had the I don't know what you call it, but there's like the technical term for it, where afterwards she said everything smelled like a dog fart to her. Like,
oh my god,
everything, like
really,
all the every food, just for
kind
like
of endearing,
a couple
but
months.
Not even really.
No.
And then yeah,
really. So I don't feel like I had
no.
that.
I think
it must
you
have been really
yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Did they have a dog?
Did it have a dog?
Maybe it was a dog.
No, it wasn't
been the
because
dog.
it would be like dinner, and she'd be like, "Do you smell that?" And I'm like, "No, it's just you. I'm so
we-
sorry."
Oh
We've
my
got a
gosh.
Boston Terrier, and when he farts,
Oh,
we
he
know.
farts.
Oh,
he farts
yeah.
a lot.
You would know.
Dogs farts are
Sweet.
Yeah. So thankfully it went
Like
away
honey.
for her, thank God. But I was just
Oh
curious
my
because I
gosh.
can't imagine how that would feel if as someone who like makes your livelihood over being able to do that. Like,
Yeah.
that would be really
I'll tell
scary.
you what affected me more was a year ago. We were at a friend's house, left, and I slipped and fell on ice.
Oh.
Broke her arm.
Ooh,
Oh, I think
shoulder.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
you told me.
I
Yeah,
was-
like,
I was like
what?
Broke the top of your
Oh.
humerus.
yeah, I
Oof.
was like a one-arm chef for like months. Now that was
That
hard.
would be
That
very
was hard.
difficult. Yeah.
That's the very reason why we've had a commitment for years. Like we wanted, like she was on the ski team when she was going to college. We don't ski. There's certain things you don't do because like this.
I get a little nervous.
Risk
This is your
management.
livelihood.
I
It's that
get a little
insurance
yeah,
background.
like,
yeah, I get a little nervous. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Interesting.
So you just have to protect the your weapons.
Yeah, the assets.
You know, I
the
gotta say,
assets.
we recently had some. Recently had dinner with some friends, and they were doing the dry January. Okay, I get it. You ain't gonna see me doing no dry January, okay?
January 4, we're like bottle of wine.
No,
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I feel like we've cut back in so many things, health wise. I feel like with wine, there really is. I mean, in moderation.
Yeah.
In
I think
moderation.
there's a big difference
One glass
between
before bed or with dinner.
That's what I
and
told
then-
my kids
Alzheimer's
every
or
time growing
whatever.
up.
Well,
Is that
Moderation
true?
and self
It's
It's
control.
like good for your
moderation.
blood and stuff
Yeah.
to
You
kind
know,
of like thin
it's
it out or whatever.
Just like everything, it's moderation,
Yep.
right? I mean,
This
don't.
is a doctor's
Google
message
that.
here.
Yeah, we don't know. We are not
Yeah.
doctors. Don't take any
Google it.
legal
Dr.
medical advice
Esteban.
from
I'm just
us.
saying, I'll
Dr.
cut
Mike
back.
React.
Yeah, I'll cut back in things, but like wine, I have a hard time because
Code blue, Dr.
I
S.
just enjoy it.
Well, and also like you're drinking it to enjoy it, not to get drunk, right? There's a big
Oh,
difference. There's
exactly.
people who
Oh
do
my
dry
God.
January typically are drinking for different reasons, right? And
You know
like
what? And to be honest, I wish I could have done dry January. I think it would be a good reset. But
it might
Why?
maybe, but maybe not. I mean, who knows?
You
Like,
know, yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then I blinked, and then there's
Allow
another
the
glass of
palate
wine.
to
Yeah.
settle. And
yeah.
I have a weird question.
Yes.
So, just from cooking at my own house, there's like specific muscles that you're using and everything. Are there specific exercises that you have to use as a caterer who's like working 12 hours a day? Is there specific?
Are you hitting the gym? Is what he's asking.
Oh my god.
That's not what I'm
He
asking.
Are you
wants
hitting
an
the
exercise
gym?
plan.
I'm asking because like my back hurts.
How
Like,
many
I hurt my
saucepans
back
do you
and
have to lift?
everything.
Like how many reps?
Like
Your
my
back-
back can hurt over time and over doing something for 12 hours a day. So I'm wondering if there's
Okay.
specific things you do.
Well, to be honest, when you are cooking in your kitchen, what are on your feet? Well, what kind of shoes?
Me?
Slip resistant
I'm wearing
shoes.
nowadays I've been wearing Crocs. I used
Crocs.
to wear
Yeah, in
slipper
the kitchen you can wear Crocs.
Okay.
I love Crocs.
The reason I bring that up is because when you're on your feet, like when we cater, I'm up by 6. I don't go to bed until probably 1,
No,
2
later.
o'clock. Well, I'm being conservative. but-
I'm
On
not
a
trying
good
to
day.
brag
Yeah.
either.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm on my feet a lot. So what I have my feet really, really matters. And I have learned, and Tom introduced me to a name brand shoe that I swear to. So
What is it?
Merrell shoes.
Merrell or
Merrell.
Merrell?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've
They're
heard of
outdoor
those.
hiking shoes.
Those are amazing shoes.
They are
know
incredible.
that.
Yeah.
They're
And
good.
They're
I-
expensive, but they're amazing.
They're not the prettiest shoe, but I don't care because at the end of the day, I need to. I feel good with my back. So when you're on your feet, and depending on what kind of floor you have, if you're on a tile floor, hardwood is a little bit more forgiving. But if you're on a tile floor, you need something that's going to support your feet because if you don't, you will feel it in
I
your
can
back.
feel the difference between concrete.
Yeah,
Oh,
you need that
It's
anti-fatigue mat for
it's
sure.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So in our kitchen, in our commercial kitchen, we have mats. I encourage my staff to all wear proper shoes, and of course, just proper rest, because
But
I'm
I think
used
you
to
guys can say it too. Like, regardless of what you're doing, like you work at an event,
Yeah. Oh.
you could easily walk,
Lots and
4
lots of steps.
maybe more miles of steps in a night of running back and
Easy.
forth. And
Yeah.
there was a venue
4
in
is
St.
like before pre-shift.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So there
Right.
was a venue in St. Paul. It was the James J. Hill Library.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything was in the basement. So we would prep. We would
Yeah.
all of our stuff would be in the basement. We'd have to go up 2 flights of stairs to bring all of our equipment, all of our plates, all of our silverware,
Brutal.
everything.
Butt buster.
But and then if you would do a plated, we would plate downstairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'd bring it up.
Yeah.
Like,
I've done that.
Yes.
I've actually worked out of there. I think that spot's coming back, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
heard that too.
It's on the
by
up
the
and
end of the
up.
night, like you're like,
You're
my
tired.
feet, my back, my.
I think they have an elevator now, though.
Okay, but the
they had one
elevator's
before,
not-
but it was tiny. But I think they are
Yeah.
putting in a different one.
Good.
So,
Oh no,
They
they
need
put
to.
in a different one, but it's not allowed for vendors.
I think that was just choices made before, but that might not be.
Okay.
I
Depending
think so.
on who's
Maybe.
bringing it back, that
Yeah.
might not be the choice.
We know who's bringing
yeah.
it back, but we will save that for another podcast.
Yeah, different one. But
I think I know what you think you know.
yeah.
We'll talk after the show, guys.
Yeah. I think that a lot of it has to do, and also you're doing it all the time, right? So you have a little bit of repetition built in and muscles built up and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't carry a camera around for 8 hours a day. Like, there's no
for
way.
sure. Oh
My
my
arm would
gosh.
break off at some point
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
Right.
Alex does it.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, well-
it's just the muscles you've built up.
Carrying
Yeah.
a camera around for 8 hours and then
Yeah.
having a back spasm for the next 3 days.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. He'll call me at like 4 p.m. being like, "Hey, dude, I haven't heard from you all day." I was like, "I've been sleeping all day."
Yeah. We had an event on
my
Wednesday night,
gosh.
and it's the space that we're working in is concrete floors, and it's been a
Oh, that's
little
hard.
while since
That's hard.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've done a lot of miles on a concrete floor.
Yeah.
And then that night I went home and I taped my knees, taped
Yeah.
my feet,
Yeah.
everything. And then the next morning I was like, oh my God, everything hurts. So
When you're a caterer or like a server, you don't have a mat to walk on
Right.
with
Yeah.
your shoes. You're on the
Yeah.
hard surface the whole time.
Yeah.
My
And-
hips are kind of fucked up
It's-
nowadays.
it's
And if you're my team,
serious.
you're moving quick.
Yeah.
You're
Right,
back and forth,
right.
and you're running around.
Yeah, I mean it's a quick game. Like you have to
Yeah.
be quick on
there's
your feet.
no
Yeah.
idle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had some servers who wear cute little ballet shoes.
Oh no.
And at the end of the
Nonsense.
night, I'm like, well,
They're
girl,
young.
what are you doing?
They're
Yeah.
still young. They
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
that. It's
They
like
haven't
when you
had their
turn
first
32
plantar fasciitis.
and you need
Plantar
fasciitis.
It's true. It's true.
I used
Yeah.
to put water bottles into the freezer and then take those out and roll.
Does that work?
Yeah, because then you can
I
roll
love
your
that idea.
arches
Yeah.
on it and
Oh
it
my
ices them. It's
gosh.
the best.
You guys,
Yeah.
our daughter bought me for Christmas. She bought me a foot massager.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I used that 1.5 times
No,
after
you
an
use
event.
it more than one after.
Okay, and I burnt it out. I literally
Really
burnt
it
that
out?
thing out,
Yeah.
and it felt so good before it burnt out. So
Yeah.
I need to buy another one.
Mother's Day coming up. You know.
Yes.
Valentine's.
Yeah.
You know. No, the water bottle though is clutch. You should definitely do that.
I need to
Just-
try that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Alex, can I get that little box thing behind you? I got a little gift for you guys.
Oh.
I went to a wine tasting after we did some video work with you guys. And
Oh, you wrapped it so fancy.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I want that.
I love the I love the bag.
I
it's in.
love
it.
I think that's FedEx. I don't even know where this came
Is it?
from.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a FedEx box. I'll let
need
you
a-
open it. You gotta.
Wait, do you need
we got a knife somewhere.
I love that.
You can use the.
gonna use the
It's
Just
got like
knife?
part of my name and stuff on it.
Aww.
I've been
Yes,
storing it at the appropriate temps since then in a box. I don't know if it's been at the
I love.
appropriate.
Well, wait a
You might
second.
hate this because you were just all like, wine's like subjective or whatever, and then it's
Wines
like
are subjective, but I
you're gonna
love wines
hate
as
this.
gift.
It's not a cheap bottle. I talked to somebody, so I went to at the machine shop.
Yeah.
There was a wine tasting, so we did a video with you guys at the machine shop.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, maybe a month later, there was a tasting there, and I went there. I got invited,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What's the best fucking bottle of wine here?"
Yeah.
And then I bought it for you guys. I don't know.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, I love. Oh my gosh, it's a French. Oh come on, it's a French wine. I love.
It's a French wine. I can't even pronounce it, so you go ahead. Go ahead, try it.
Clos de la Bousse Dior.
I don't know what
I
that
was
means.
a French minor.
I have
please.
no idea
So
what that-
give me some props.
That's
Yes, that's how
props.
you pronounce it.
Mad props.
That
I don't know
is
if it's good, but let me know how it is.
fantastic.
It's somebody there who was reputable in terms of
Aw.
like, I don't know if they were a sommelier or anything like that, but they had good reputation about like what wines were good, and they was like, this is the best fucking wine here, and then I was like, all right, that's the one.
Aw,
So
thank
hopefully it's good.
Thank you.
You guys can do a date night and
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
have a little fun and
I love it.
drink
Well,
that.
Oh, we'll have fun. We're not going to tell you what the fun was, but we'll have fun.
in exchange.
Hey, this is a
little
PG
Netflix and chill
18 on
with
the
a real
So
fancy
since
French
you're giving
wine.
us love, we thought we'd give
No
you guys
way,
some
are you
love.
kidding me?
We're gonna give you
What
guys
the
a
hell
love.
did you sneak that in here?
It's like
Hey.
the gift of the Magi.
It was in
See
my
that
pants.
coming in here?
Yes.
No.
He winked at me, and I was like, "What are you winking at, bitch?" And then I like looked down. I was like,
so-
"Oh yeah."
So
You
quick
bastard.
story, we go to Napa every year, or almost every
Is this
year.
the TNT bottle?
This is
It
the
is.
TNT
No
bottle.
way!
Yes.
I said I wanted it. I saw you
Yes.
guys post on
Yes.
on
Yeah.
Facebook, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah.
want one of those bottles.
So this was the wine that we made when we were in
Yes.
Napa.
No way.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Look at
It's
your
for you.
label.
It's for you
Yes.
guys to try.
You know that's
I
never
don't
been
know if-
opened, right?
I don't know if we
It
can
has-
show the
yes.
camera.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
if
So
that's
please-
It's our
perfect.
signature
Please
blend.
enjoy it.
TNT.
Yeah.
Well,
Green
you
Mango's
can you
Catering.
can always drink it and then just put the bottle on display.
Yeah.
Once-
Yes.
Once it's been
Oh, I was
drank.
gonna say, I'm like,
Yes.
that's never being drunk.
Oh yeah, we're not.
You gotta enjoy it. Wine,
The sad
this
thing
kind
is,
of
I'm
thing
not gonna
meant
drink
be
this. I'm
enjoyed.
gonna save it for
No,
everyone.
no,
no,
Oh,
no,
we'll
guys-
drink it. We'll
Should we
drink
try
it.
it
as a
right now?
team.
The bottle.
You need.
So this
yes.
is at Judd's Hill in Napa Valley, and you
Yes.
how do you do this? Like you just got to make your own wine?
Tell it.
Well, we went there and
Thao
they
coordinated
had
all this.
they had all different types of wines, and we could do the blend based on whatever we wanted. And I know a little thing about wine,
A little bit.
so we put together this particular blend. This was our first shot. And we're like, this is fantastic. We're going to go with number 2. We're going to go number 3. But at the end of the day, it was the very first one. And we bottled a case of it. So
If you want to know about their bottle blending day camp, you can visit the website at juddshill.com.
Awesome.
yes.
Awesome.
But
So
Shout
this
out
you
to
can
Judd's Hill.
go there and like do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
yeah.
this was the very last trip when you were.
This
in
was the
Napa.
last trip
Okay.
that we did.
That's awesome.
Yes.
When was
Which
that?
was
Like
our-
November or December?
It was November.
Yeah, it was one of
Mid-November.
our best trips.
Yeah.
I saw you guys posted
oh
a picture,
my gosh.
and I actually talked to Alex, and I was like, I fucking want one of those bottles, and that's why I started the podcast today with TNT.
Yep.
Because it said TNT.
We knew.
I was like, that's
You
golden.
realized when we were making the wine, we were looking at each other like, we're going to give this to our friends. Like we had like
Okay,
the list of our folks who
I
you knew
will
like had
tell
to
you
have a bottle of
That-
this. And
I appreciate it. You
we
guys are
walked
the best.
away
Yeah.
with 12 bottles because that's what
So I
yeah.
have one
So
of
we walked
12.
away.
That's what it
Yeah,
is.
this
The
is limited
we
edition.
kept-
You
Limited
should probably get
edition.
him to sign it too.
we kept
Yeah,
we kept
actually.
6 for ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we said we're going to give away 6. Tom gets to give away 3. I get to give away 3. I'm like, oh my gosh, who do I give it to? Well, you guys are one
Thank
of my
you.
3.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
That's
Oh, thank you.
amazing.
It's I
Yeah.
can't wait to open this.
Yes.
Is it good? Do you know?
We're gonna
Do you
find
know?
out.
How do you know?
Is it straight shit? Just tell me.
I'm gonna-
Did I get conned?
We'll come back in 6 months and have another conversation. You can tell him it's shit.
He's gonna hunt down that guy.
We're
It was
gonna
a,
find
it was a
out.
lady.
I'm
It
going
was
to
a lady.
smoke
Oh,
another
okay.
tomahawk and
Yeah.
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Apparently it's good. I don't know.
I'm sure.
Let me
it's-
know.
You know what? Sometimes I enjoy a glass just because it's a beautiful gift from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about the most expensive or the best. Sometimes it's just about the experience and the friendship.
I've got a rule. I've got a few really nice scotches, really nice tequilas, and I only take them out from the liquor cabinet on a really bad day, a really good day, or if I'm with friends. And then otherwise, it's like just like if it's a bad day, I'm like, yeah, I need a drink. Or if it's a good day, let's celebrate. Or if you're coming over, you're going to share this bottle of scotch with me. So this is an example of that. Like maybe we need to have you guys over and have dinner when our kitchen is done.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
another
remodel
story.
project?
We're remodeling right now. We're
At home?
remodeling right now. So our kitchen
Torn
is
apart.
a disaster.
There's nothing there.
Our house is a disaster.
We've
Yeah.
been on takeout for a week now, and I'm already burnt
I
out.
bet that's
Yeah.
kind of nice
It's
a little
hard.
bit though. Like,
It's nice a little
It's
bit.
nice
less
for me 'cause I'm not doing
dishes
dishes.
and stuff.
Do
Yeah.
you guys judge it at all?
Judge what?
Judge the takeout food?
Oh,
All the time.
all day long.
What's your rating so
All
far?
the time.
That's your right.
This
That,
is-
you
know
earned the
what?
right.
We live in the suburbs. We have some, decent takeout places, but at the end of the day, it's all corporate.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's corporate. I'm not hating on them. They do fine, but it's like I can only eat so much of it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I know I've heard from some people, or I've read or heard things about how like champagne goes really well with very salty things, right?
Oh,
Like
yes.
fried chicken or
Yes,
French
yes,
fries,
yes,
right?
yes,
Like
yes.
great pairings.
Yes.
Popcorn, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
Yes.
your
What
like? What's that?
What
Champagne.
Champagne.
So like the
yeah.
bubbles, the
Sparkling.
effervescence, and the
Fabulous.
salt and all that goes really well together.
Mm.
What's like your favorite unusual combination of pairings?
Ooh, good question.
I love a good champagne with salty potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lay's.
Or like probably fresh made.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Are these homemade chips?
Probably.
Okay.
Yes.
You're
yes.
a chef. I
Yes.
should know
She
better.
recently did
I'll
take
let myself out.
the
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, because at Christmas we did a fun like exchange.
Yeah.
What
At a
elephant?
family
And we got the
event.
Snoop Dogg's recipe book.
Yeah.
And I think you made some chips. It was actually pretty good.
You know, Snoop Dogg, does he cook or
Was
does
it?
he?
Were they wheat chips?
Weed chips.
I'm sure he probably had some special chips in the back.
I'm sure
You
it's
know?
what he's been craving like every night, and he's just
Yeah,
been keeping
yeah.
track of what he
Oh,
craves.
just like
Yeah.
it's just like a
Yeah.
revolving door. It's
Exactly.
never ending.
So, Jessica, champagne, salty chips, creme fraiche, a little bit of caviar.
Ooh, yes.
Like
Okay.
on-
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like
on the
like
chip.
an hors d'oeuvre style thing,
Yeah.
like a chip with.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
dip it up.
Yes.
Oh,
Let's
Everything
go.
about that. I'm here for
Mhm.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
So that's the first course when we come over to have the wine. I got you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and like, because like you were saying with the caramel delight cookie that you did with the
Yes.
shrimp, like that's such an unusual combination that I never
Yeah.
would have been like, yeah, that seems like that'd be great, but I'm sure it
Yeah.
was.
It was really good.
I believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a job off of it. So
Oh, and I got fired too.
yeah,
so.
well, whatever. that doesn't count though.
No, but that's an unusual pairing right there. The shrimp with
And
the.
the peanut butter and the caramel.
The peanut butter,
yeah.
I can see that.
There
though.
was
That makes
coconut
sense.
with it too. So
I
yeah.
honestly thought that was the heartbreak, was like it just didn't work out, and they didn't like.
That was the sad
I
part of
just
the story.
never thought those would go together, so I was like, oh, this is where it went
Tao
wrong.
fucked up. No,
Yeah.
but she
No,
killed
she
it,
killed
and it
it.
was amazing. And they wanted your recipe.
You know,
Yes.
you know what the great thing about that story, to be honest? Like, I don't walk away feeling like, oh, boo-hoo, I'm sad. I walk away feeling like,
The
damn.
right
They
thing.
were
The right
scared
thing
of
happened.
you.
Yeah, like they really loved it. And because I couldn't give them what they wanted, they fired me. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm doing something all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's okay.
And you didn't give them the recipe, so like,
And I did.
Even
good
better.
on you.
Keep your
All the
secrets
power.
close.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
You know, and so to go back to that, we do occasionally get people who ask for recipes. And if it's something that's not, you know, like signature, I may, but if it's signature, people are very respectful.
Yeah.
You know, like my family, when we go to a family event, it's a joke. It's a joke. Because when we go to a family event, what does Thao bring? Thao brings the vegetables. Thao brings the fruit tray. Because guess what? They allow me to bring it, and all day
Yeah.
long, I'm going to bring
Yes.
it.
They want you to bring it.
Well, you know what? My sister-in-law and my family members, they're fabulous cooks. So I'm like, yeah, girl, you show
Do it.
your
Right.
Yeah.
and let me bring the little veggie tray.
Yeah.
All day long, I'll do that.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, because my wife is such a good cook that you worry like people don't want to invite you over.
Mm-hmm. I've had people tell me that they didn't want to invite
Oh,
me
like
to
they
their
don't
wedding.
wanna-
Yes.
Like they
And
don't
I'm
wanna
like,
cook
oh
for you?
yeah, yes,
Why?
because they were afraid I would judge it.
100%.
Oh,
And I was like, low
You're-
key, yes,
do you-
but
do
also
you-
no.
do you-
No.
you do.
But
You do,
also
Jessica,
very
you do.
much yes.
Yeah, no. I don't ever ever judge like the wedding itself. Sometimes I will be judgmental about a venue, right? About like logistical things or like the way that they arrange something or like choices that they made that affect the way that night flows or the staff. And like if it's a rude staff or something like that, like immediately yes.
But that's
judging
natural because you have a standard that you set
Exactly.
for what you expect you do.
Yes. And that I think that
100%.
And it's not like I'm walking up to them and being like, you know what you should be doing here, right? Like no one asked me, right? But and every wedding is beautiful. It doesn't matter your budget, doesn't matter your style. Like it's your taste. It's very personal, right?
Right. It's very personal.
Whatever type, I've been to weddings that were very bare bones, very minimalistic, and like loved every second of it. So I'm not judging that part of it, but the staff part a little bit sometimes. But I've had people say like, oh, I was nervous about inviting you here. And I was like, but why? And like, but I'm also just like, the green beans are a little soggy. So...
But you love events.
Yeah.
That's why you do it. And
But I also am grateful that my family also like, because I can cook and I love to cook. I just don't do it very often because of like my work schedule and stuff. And like, I think sometimes I feel like I should be doing more when I go to family things, but I'm like, I'll bring a bottle of wine. Like that's my
For real.
Yeah. Like I don't have the energy for anything else most of the time.
You know what's so it's funny. So I will not cook at a family event. And I will bring the bottle of wine, and I'll be the one to drink the bottle of wine.
That's you.
I noticed
That's
too,
me.
like I follow you guys on Facebook and Instagram or whatever. Facebook's for the old guys, I guess. Now. But Tom, you do a lot of cooking at home. You like to cook.
Oh my gosh.
And you're always praising it.
He's crazy. I bought him. So we went to visit family in Milwaukee, and his sister and brother-in-law have this great little smoker, and they bring it wherever. And I'm like, what, a smoker? Like what? So I'm like, okay, I'll play this game. So I bought him a smoker, this little portable
The
smoker
Traeger?
It's a Pit
What is it?
Boss.
It's a Pit Boss.
It's a I don't know
portable.
the exact. It's a Pit Boss portable.
Shout out Pit Boss.
But it's like maybe this big. You know, it's big enough to lift up and put in the back of your car.
Oh, okay.
It's
He
great. Yeah,
is
it's not huge.
fabulous. He
I love
has
it.
done everything from tomahawks to scallops to lobster tail
To sea bass,
I mean, you
tomahawk,
okay? So
chicken wings.
you talked about. Am I okay with somebody else cooking for me? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I'll come home and put my feet up and drink
yeah.
a glass of wine while he's smoking my tomahawk steak.
Yeah.
I'm
No
okay
problem.
with that.
What a good guy.
Yeah.
No, but it is a little bit intimidating because I know that she's so good. And
Well,
she
lobster
has a
tail
high
really-
expectation.
really
so there's a
frustrated.
little bit about me that
So
I
you're
get nervous.
sweating in the kitchen.
No, I do because the lobster tail, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm Irish kid. I was born on, meatloaf and potatoes.
Yeah.
12
So when I
minutes
married
in
Thao-
boiling water.
Right.
No, I don't know. You did like a thing about lobster tails and blanching them? Or
Yes.
Poaching.
poaching.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My-
He literally almost gave up smoking because I'm like, dude, it's been 2.5 hours. It's 8:30. Like, I need to
I'm
eat.
hungry.
Yeah, I need to eat.
Can only eat so many
Because what
potato chips with caviar. Like,
I
we're
think that's
drunk
every
now.
what I
couple.
learned
Yeah.
was that smoking is not about the time. Like when you bake, it's bake a certain amount of time. It's temperature. Smoking's all about temperature. So I'm like, it's not moving temperature. It's just stalled. And she's like, I'm hungry. It's been 2.5 hours. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I
Right.
can't make it go faster.
Yeah.
And then I started to
Make
get
it go
anxiety.
faster.
But then when it was done,
Make it go faster. Like, make it go
I'm
faster.
willing you to go quicker.
Oh,
But,
my God.
But it was good.
So Tom is also a great baker. But here's the thing. He'll bake like 3 dozen cookies. Okay, I'm not going to eat 3 dozen cookies.
Okay, but I feel like,
Kids eat 'em?
is this an Irish kid thing? Because this is my family too. Like, we don't know how to make food in normal quantities.
Yeah.
Like,
you make a
yeah.
lot of food.
Yes, it's
right?
truly like my dad, my family's like Irish Catholic, all that. So my dad has 10 brothers and sisters. My mom has 8.
Oh, wow.
So like, I don't know how to make things in normal quantities, and I've had to like learn and I
like cut back.
Yeah.
Learn /
like,
cut back.
I don't need to make 6 dozen cookies, like, because then I'm coming to people's houses and bringing them cookies because I'm like, just
Right.
get these out of my house, like,
Right.
not because I don't want to eat them, because I cannot, and they will go bad. Like,
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
Nope, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Tom will bake something. He'll bake like like 3-4 dozen cookies. He's like, have you had a cookie today? I'm like, dude, like it's 8 a.m. I'm like barely awake.
It's a breakfast cookie. Get on board.
Have a cookie
From scratch, or you?
Yeah, from scratch.
He does everything from scratch.
So I'll do, but then I'll have this itch. I'm like, well, I probably could make some bread, and then I should probably make, because these the bananas are getting. I
was gonna say,
Oh my
how's
God,
your
I have
banana
bananas
bread
at home that are
skill?
like just
my
ready
gosh.
to make
We
banana
have
bread.
You
black,
got the skills?
black
I love- yeah.
bananas.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
that's my spot.
I
right
know
there.
it's good.
Banana bread. I grew up on that.
If
That's-
you just feel like you want to bake, man, just
we
hit
can
me
get
up.
baked. Oh, we're talking. Oh, something.
Two
else.
different things.
Like we're
Two
oh my God.
I mean, you can do that if you want to. I'm not gonna
different
judge, but
things.
When you
No,
said
no,
you're a
if you
good
wanna
baker,
bake
I was
some
like
bread.
Snoop Dogg or
Oh my
kitchen.
gosh.
No, it's
Which
good.
cookbook are you looking at? No, yeah. If you ever want to bake, I'll take on that bread. I don't know.
Volunteer.
I have no
Absolutely.
problem with that.
No,
Yeah, when you
actually.
make them cookies, send them
When you
over,
make-
send them
when you
over to
make
Event
those 4
Life.
dozen cookies. Oh my gosh.
Tao's got the creative mindset because she can go in, and that's the art of a chef who's like, for me, for baking, it's easy. I can follow a script. It's got to be exact. For Tao, she's making stuff and she's taking a pinch, and she doesn't have a
Science.
it's crazy because I'll say to her, I'm like, I got to have exactly a half a teaspoon. She's like, just do this. I'm like, that's not a half a teaspoon. She's like, yes, it is. Put your hand out, and she'll do it, and I'll put it, and I'm like, how the heck did that become a half a? Because it's like all in her head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to have a perfect set script. That's why I like the baking piece. You as a chef, you like, because she just gets creative and she tastes, and so like at dinner time, we'll have like 30 spoons.
Oh, he
Because
gets
she's-
crazy. He gets
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
He gets crazy because like one of my icons is Thomas Keller. Anytime I do a Thomas Keller recipe, I have like the
Or
kitchen.
John George.
Yes, or Eric Repair, and the kitchen is a freaking mess. He comes in.
I'm dishwasher.
He's so mad because
I've
there's
worked a full day.
there's everything, every single.
So this
dish
is why
and
you cook at
spoon.
home. Just
Yeah.
so you don't have to clean up after.
No, exactly.
One
Because when
pot
she
dish.
cooks, I do dishes.
Yeah.
When I cook, she does dishes.
Oh, fair. Then I would
That's our
cook
plan.
too.
That's our
Absolutely.
strategy.
And when he says I do dishes, it's our kids.
Yeah.
will
Yeah,
do the dishes.
fair. That's why you have kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad always told the joke about when he was a kid. His parents had them all washing dishes and everything, and there was 4 of them. By the time they moved out, they got a dishwasher, and he was always like, he came back and was like, "Why didn't you have a dishwasher before?" He's like, "Why would I buy a dishwasher when I have 4 perfectly good ones right here?"
Yep.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question specifically about how you're doing those measurements, those pinches and everything. Is that just learned,
Yes.
or are you
Muscle
actually
memory?
like
Yeah.
taking a teaspoon and measuring it out with your fingers? Or like how many fingers
It's
you're using
learned.
to
So-
pinch?
I am very methodical in how I do literally everything. So early on, when I decided that I was going to go into the culinary world and I wanted to be able to do these recipes but not necessarily measure them out. So early on, I would take a teaspoon of salt and I would put it into my hand. So now I know what a teaspoon of salt
Looks like
in my hand. So now when I put in a teaspoon of salt, by measurement, I can tell if it's truly a teaspoon or not. Same thing with, so I pretty much know every single measurement in terms of how it looks in my hand.
Interesting.
And that's how I've learned. Yeah. And you know, and to be honest, I'm very when I cook, I don't like to like limit myself. When I take a recipe, whether it's my own recipe that I create or a recipe I get online, I never take it to heart. I know that I'm always going to play with the flavors, you know, because for me, I know that I'm going to like a little bit more spice. So if they say a pinch of crushed red pepper flakes, I'm going to be like keep it going because I love spice, you know? So it goes back to personal taste, you know? So when I do a recipe, I always do it based on a baseline, but I know that I will probably more than have to adjust to that depending on the group we're catering for, my family, because like my son loves really spicy food. Tom and Jasmine do not. So I kind of cater towards those tastes.
So I have a follow-up question to what you just said, because I consider myself a little bit of a heat connoisseur or spicy food connoisseur.
Yeah.
And so I
Patrick,
I have a collection of hot sauces of varying degrees of heat at home.
Yeah.
Are you more of a so hot it makes you sweat kind of person, or do you like the flavor and heat?
I like both. I like lots and lots of heat. There was a time when my son and I would be like, what is the spiciest pepper in the world? And it was, I think at the time it was like the Carolina Reaper.
The Coca-Cola from India. Yeah, you guys, those are candy.
And we
for
will
you.
take that. We will take
They're
that.
candy.
You guys watch Hot Ones? You do. I know he does because he's
No,
bringing it up.
I have not.
Hot Ones?
I
You'd
have
enjoy it.
not.
You'd enjoy it.
Really?
Check it out on like
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever.
Okay.
Hot Ones, and it's
Okay.
like a dude. What's his name? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you look it up, Alex?
Chris
Wait,
Evans.
Chris
Okay.
Evans.
They do the hot,
So
Hot
he'll have like
the wings.
comedians
I love that. I
or
love that.
just
Yeah, it's
like
Yeah.
cool people,
Actors.
actors
Is it
and
Chris
stuff.
Evans?
Oh.
And they're sitting like Tom and I are at like a high top table,
And he's
and
interviewing.
they each have a plate of wings.
Is it a contest?
No.
No.
It's
Oh.
just like they
It's an
they
interview.
interview each other. They just talk, and they increasingly go higher on the what is it? The Scoville?
Yeah, Scoville
Yeah,
scale.
yeah.
Scoville
Scoville rating.
scale?
Mm-hmm.
So like the last one is like what? The bomb or something?
No, the
Yeah.
last one is usually their own brand of hot
Oh,
sauce.
Yeah.
the hot
And
wings.
it's usually several million Scoville.
So Patrick, I do love
There you go.
a really good spicy food,
John Oliver.
but
Love him.
I don't want it so spicy that I can't taste the flavor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it needs to still taste good to me.
right there.
Right.
Oh,
So
okay.
So they sit at a table.
Free-for-all of artistic mayhem.
So there's interviews.
Artistic
Can
mayhem.
produce things as great and as terrible as you would imagine. It is the greatest place. I miss it so much every year. It's the best.
And you know, it seems like bombing is almost a part
Oh,
of the
yeah.
process. It's like
Oh,
a rite
yeah.
of passage when you do that. Is there a set that you look back on and think of as like a comedy nightmare?
There was a gig in Edinburgh. I'm not sure if it still goes.
So basically, yeah, they just talk, kind of like what we're doing
Talk
right
and eat.
now, but they increasingly get hotter as they go.
Instead
and
of
like
wine,
you start
they have hot
sweating and
wings.
shit.
And
and
they'll
you're
like pause and eat a wing.
it's
and,
like yeah,
Oh.
like some dudes are like, I need milk, and you know,
Yeah.
so it's like
Okay, so we were at a restaurant years ago, and they were having some kind of contest where if you could reach a certain level within a certain number of minutes, you get a T-shirt, right? And so I'm like, I got this. So I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. I think you had to get the hottest within 6 minutes, and I just missed the 6-minute mark, so I did not get the T-shirt.
Rude.
But it comes back to like, I want to eat something because it's really, really flavorful,
tasty.
but spicy because I like it spicy. I don't want to eat something just to
hot
say
sake.
I got the hottest.
Yeah.
It's like
if you come
on
to
the
our
Scoville
house,
unnecessary pain.
if you come to
Exactly.
our house on a weekday and we're having dinner, and if our son's has an apartment, so if he's coming home and visiting, or our daughter's home, Thao and Jacob will have a little bowl with soy sauce, and there'll be cut up Thai chili peppers or habaneros or jalapenos. And they'll be taking that with their fork or their chopstick and with whatever we're eating, and they'll be eating that.
And we're just eating it like
Straight up.
Straight up.
like pickles.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
we'll just
pickles.
eat it.
Whoa.
We love pickles
And
too at
sometimes
home.
there's no soy sauce.
And
It's just-
sometimes there's no soy
it's
sauce.
just a little
You
dish
said
of
jalapenos,
Jalapenos,
okay,
habaneros, Thai
jalapenos,
chilies.
That's
habaneros.
very
Yep.
low.
seedless.
That's very low.
These like no seeds.
No seeds.
Jalapenos have their own
'Cause that's where the
flavor.
hotness
No, I take it back. I'm sorry. Seeds.
Seeds.
No seeds if you're trying to like do a plated event and you want the lug, you know.
Especially in Minnesota.
When
Yes.
you're doing
Yes.
Or for us Irish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
what are those?
I like a little
jalapeno
heat,
stuff?
but I get
do.
I get
Ketchup.
a little like flushed really
Do you?
easily. Yeah.
I just love it. Do you know why? Because I grew up with with little dishes of Thai chili peppers.
Yeah.
Like that's our pickles. That's our olives. And I grew up with that. So now like I literally salivate just thinking about spicy food.
Okay, so this leads me to a question I have, which is, you said that your family, they're all good cooks, right? So you grew up in a family that did a lot of cooking and was good cooks. And is that what made you want to go into the culinary field?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. My mom, my mom's no longer with us, but she was a woman who would work a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday. She would come home and she would cook a full-on home-cooked meal because we couldn't afford at the time to eat out. So eating at home was what it was. And she would just make whatever she made, and it was fabulous, and I think that was one of the things that really inspired me to cook, because like she would put these meals together. We would sit around a table, and it became an experience. It became like,
Your mom had a gift that you have, and it is, you can go to a friend's house, you can go to a restaurant, you can try something, and you can actually identify all of the ingredients right off of your tongue. And you can go home and recreate it and make it better. And I'm just, honest to God, her mom could do that. And I loved your mom from that aspect, because she made such good food. Everything I ate was always something good. Yeah. And you carry that same, you have that same ability.
Yeah. And I miss that, because I feel like sometimes, in our society, we've gone away from good food. We've gone away from good food to what's easy, what's corporate. We've talked about corporate.
What's convenient.
What's convenient. Don't get me wrong. We eat that too. But it's like the home cooked meals, the family dinners, like we have always tried to strive for that with our kids, because that's like where the conversations and the growth.
That's like community, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's like, so there was a time frame. So I also like grew up Irish Catholic family. My mother, God bless her soul, cannot cook very well. I grew up on like hamburger helper and tuna noodle casserole.
Oh, amen.
And
I enjoyed that growing up.
I mean, I have a soft spot for it, for sure. But she would say this right now, she cannot cook to save her life. And so I wasn't a great cook. And then I started working at the campus club at the U of M, and the executive chef there, Beth Jones, who used to work at Lucia's, actually, she was one of the chefs there. She basically taught me how to cook. I would stand in the kitchen in like the one spot where I wouldn't be in anybody's way and like watch them cook, right? And like learned a lot from her, learned a lot about like how to, get one chicken and make it last a week, make 10 different meals out of it, right? That kind of stuff. And it really like taught me a lot. And I got very into the slow food movement, right? And so there was a time where I applied to go to grad school at the University of Gastronomic Sciences in Northern Italy, which is through Slow Food International.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow. And because I want to do a master's degree, it was in food culture and communication, because the thing that I love, and this is still like, I think one of the things I love about events is that we use the same tools in a lot of ways across cultures to bring people together. And food is one of those, and food and wine and all of that. It's like, dumplings in one community is pierogies in another, and like all these things, and we use them in the same ways of like celebrating or mourning or like bringing people around a table and like getting to know each other and creating community. And I think that that's like a beautiful thing, and like one of my favorite things about food.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I got waitlisted like twice, and then I got the job at Aria and I didn't go, so that ended my very short career there. But that's like one of my favorite things about events in general, and also like cooking and
right. Yeah. I feel like with all the differences that we have in this world, cooking and food is the one thing that really draws people together, right? Good food is good food.
Right.
I remember being many, many years ago, before I met Tom, I went to Indonesia on a mission trip, and I remember the catch of the day is what you eat. And I remember the father of the family the host family that we were staying with, they would go out one particular day, they caught a barracuda. They caught the barracuda, they brought it back. The barracuda is lunch. Well, guess what? I don't know if you've ever seen a barracuda. They're ugly, and they don't look good.
Beef and all that.
Yeah, they do. So they fried up this barracuda and they put it on a plate, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, let's eat." And we're all looking at it, we're like, we're not eating this. But guess what? In a place like Indonesia, like food is like really precious. So if you don't eat the barracuda at lunch, guess what happens? It comes out at dinner time. So it comes out at dinner time.
Not going to look any better then. That's
no,
for sure.
We look at the barracuda.
Worse.
We're like, no, we're not going to eat the barracuda. You don't eat the barracuda. It comes out at breakfast. We learned by day 2, lunchtime,
eat the dang barracuda.
Eat the barracuda.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
eat the barracuda. It's going to keep coming out until you eat it. So we finally eat it, and we're like, oh, it tastes pretty good. Hope no one gets sick. No one does. Right?
I would.
We're day 2 at lunchtime.
It's my luck.
But the thing is, it's like food just brings people together, right? We all got to eat. We all enjoy it in some aspect, right? With different varying degrees of heat and flavor and whatnot. But it's important.
Yep.
So,
and it's the care and attention that people put into it and the intention behind it and all those things.
Right.
I also feel like Eat the Barracuda could be like your new tagline, and it's like about everything in life and like tackling your problems, right?
Yes.
Like
Eat the
it's
barracuda.
not going to
Yeah.
get
Eat the
any more.
barracuda.
It's not going to
Yes.
get more attractive the longer you
Right.
wait. That's for sure.
you know what? That is so true.
Yeah.
I like
That is so true. I like that. Jessica, good.
That's
What's
our new
with
merch.
Yeah,
making
eat the-
merch
eat
for
the
other
barracuda.
people? We got to
Eat
make
the
merch for
barracuda.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do need to make some merch.
Mine would be
Yeah.
eat the meatloaf.
Eat the bear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Tom has a story about meatloaf.
Ooh, I love
Really?
some meatloaf.
Yes. I love a good meatloaf,
I
but
love
Tom
it
does
too.
not.
I grew up on that. My grandma
know,
made it all the
I
time.
know.
Well,
I miss
growing up
it.
as a kid, I didn't like meatloaf. I didn't like how it tasted because I didn't like my mom would make me help her put the meatloaf together. So we'd get raw meat, put it in a bowl, and you're probably familiar. You'd put in ketchup, you'd take saltines, break the saltines up, and you have to mix it up.
Yep.
And she made me do the mixing of the hands and mixing it up, and it grossed me out, and I just hated it.
That texture in your hands.
Oh,
yeah.
it's awful.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't eat dinner. And my mom would get really mad because, like, at our house, like, you finish your plate because you're in the clean plate supper club. Like, you don't leave anything out. You know, we didn't have a ton of money, so you eat it, right? Or, like, to Tao's point, eat it the next day. So at one point, my mom's like, you need to eat dinner. And if you're not going to eat it, like, it's coming out the next day. And I would just fight her. So finally, she's like, I'll make you a deal. She's like, you make the meatloaf with me. And instead of, you having to eat meatloaf, I'll make you a hamburger. I'm like, well, this is a slick deal. I'll take that. So I went and I made the meatloaf, washed my hands, went out to play, came back, and she had a hamburger on the table for me, and everyone else was eating meatloaf, and she just sat and watched.
And you had a meatloaf sandwich.
Oh, my friend. I took a bite, and I'm like, we did the eye thing, and she's like, oh, you're eating that hamburger, honey. Swallow that down.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah,
son of a gun. So
you got played.
I love that.
Because when I left the room, she took the meatloaf, and she's like, here's the hamburger for Tommy.
Yep.
Everyone else had a meatloaf.
Did she put a pickle on it?
Probably.
Yeah. A little
Love
extra
my-
ketchup.
Yep.
A little more ketchup. Yeah. Saltines in between your
Goddamn.
butt.
Nope.
That is
Yeah.
great. Wow.
But she
my
taught me a
God.
good lesson too. Like, be grateful for what you have.
Right.
For
Right,
Sure,
and-
for sure.
Meatloaf's not all bad,
No, it's
good
I mean,
stuff.
It's straight up good.
right?
He says that until I make it at home, and then he may not eat
No,
it.
your meatloaf is
Oh,
really, really
have
good.
I made meatloaf?
You have. It's good.
I'll try it.
There's
again.
not been many things you've made that I've not liked.
Name
says
one
that.
that you didn't like.
Yeah, there is a
Can I-
story.
I left
can
it
I-
open. They left the door open.
Chocolate
is a-
chicken.
Okay,
But
listen.
like a mole.
I love
Jessica,
mole.
thank you.
Yeah.
I
I'm a
made-
fucking
awful.
mole
Listen,
fanatic.
Yeah.
I watched a.
Oh my
I don't know. I don't know if it's Oprah or one of.
flashback.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't know if it's Oprah or one of those talk shows, but they made chocolate chicken / mole, and I said that looks really good. So Tom was out of town. I made it for the kids. He did not like it.
They didn't like it.
And then Tom comes home, and the kids are like, "Dad, we got dinner for you."
And they all sat on the table, and they all sat, and no one said a word, and they all staring at me.
Watching you.
And I'm like, what's
I will
what's
be
going
very
on with you guys? Like,
suspicious.
this is
Yeah.
weird. I'm like,
What's
yeah.
up, weirdos?
And
Yeah.
just the minute I took it,
I went a little heavy on the
Chocolate?
chocolate. I went a little
Yeah.
heavy. It wasn't great, but
and then there was a time where we got super sassy with her about something. Like, she made chicken like
It
a
was
couple
chicken.
times in a row, and we got all sassy, and the kids are getting mouthy with her, and she's like, you know what? I'm teaching you a lesson. And we're like, it's like, yeah. She's like, because she's the only one who cooked. She's like, 7 days of chicken. we're having chicken for 7 days.
She sounds like a plague from the Bible the way you said that.
She wrote a blog about
I
this.
went,
It was
7 days.
7 days in a row.
Chicken.
I think by day 4, I was clucking.
They were complaining. They were complaining about something. And
That is some real like
No, it's for
privilege.
real.
Like 7 days of somebody making me a homemade chicken. Yeah.
Did you change
bring
it up?
on.
Was it like thighs and then it was the breast?
You know what?
and...
I made a
You
chicken
did.
dish.
You were creative for a while, but at one point you were like, "Screw it! You're just getting raw.
Well,
You're just
no,
getting
you know
chicken."
what happened? I made a chicken dish that I really liked, and I
And we
normally
all
don't like
put
chicken.
our noses up to it.
Yeah, and the kids in time were like, chicken. I'm like, oh,
Oh, we're doing
you don't
this.
Like
I see how
chicken.
that is,
Yeah,
yes.
we're gonna do chicken.
This is
and
true.
we
Let me
literally
show
did
you.
chicken. We
Yep.
did chicken for 7 days, and the kids. And then
There
at
was one day you gave us a slight break because we were so burnt out, and you brought in KFC, and we're like, this isn't all bad,
Fried.
but like, thank God, like I just feel like
The Colonel.
Brought in backup.
Oh my God! Was it paired with mashed potatoes?
ooh,
you know what?
Probably not.
We're like, it's so funny in our household. Like our kids, they're very, very into food. They're very into food.
Thank God. What if they weren't? What
Oh,
if they were like chicken fingers every day?
You know, when Jacob was earlier on, I took Jacob shopping, and we're in the seafood section. I'm like, Jacob, when you buy fish, make sure the eyes are bright and they're not sunken. Make sure it's shiny. Da da da. And he's like, Mom, can we just shop like normal people? Like, why do
We've
we
all
have to
said
do
that
this?
to you.
I know. I'm
not
like,
just our
I'm
boy,
like,
our
okay.
girl. Yeah.
So I no longer try to teach them how to shop.
You think they're
because,
gonna take over the family biz?
You know, I
It's
don't.
yet to be seen. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd be okay
Too
if
young
they did
yet?
or didn't. Yeah, it doesn't
I-
matter. I
we-
want them to have chase their dreams.
yeah, we always said, you know what?
Dream
our-
big and eat well.
Right.
Absolutely, I love
Our
that.
dreams are not your dreams. And so
Eat the barracuda.
if they ever did, I would love it. But
I
if
love.
they didn't and they chased their own dreams, I would be loving that as well.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
I
Because-
love that dream big and eat well thing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, no, I was just saying, you know, like at the end of the day, like your kids, they gotta do what's best for them. They gotta follow their own dreams versus ours, right? We've done what we love to do. I don't expect them to like follow in our footsteps. If they did, you know, I don't know.
We've-
Maybe the wine bar will come up someday.
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean-
we've raised them
Who
to
knows?
go after like follow your heart.
Yeah,
For sure. That's awesome.
Awesome.
yeah.
This episode is sponsored by IMAV, an innovative and leading audiovisual company based in the Twin Cities. If you're looking to elevate your next event, all you have to do is reach out to the team at IMAV. They'll put together a package that not only fits your budget, but takes your event to the next level. IMAV strives to not only be a resource, but an asset to the success of your event. Whether you need video, audio, or lighting, the professionals at IMAV can execute and run your meeting or event flawlessly. Their team is a dream to work with and always deliver a final product that leaves guests blown away. Find them online at imav.pro. Use promo code EVENTLIFE when you contact them to receive 30% off all equipment rentals for your first event. Again, go to imav.pro to lock in the best audiovisual vendor for your next event. Should we watch some videos?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This feels like a good time.
Alex,
Let's
can we
do it.
pop up one of them?
Hey friends, Wedding Planner Morgan here, and here are my top 4 ways to bring your catering pricing down.
Oh boy.
my God.
Okay,
We
first
can
and
laugh,
foremost,
we can
catering is
joke
probably
about
where
these,
you're
we
going
can
to spend
critique
the most
them,
money
etc.
on in your budget. It's the most expensive piece, right? You're feeding a ton of people, and the first way to always bring anything down is to do less of it. So 1, lower that guest count.
Okay.
Number 2 is scaling back your menu. So if you're going with a buffet option, which if you're trying to save money, that's usually the most economical way to do things, then take a look at that catering package, because most of the time caterers will offer 2 different proteins in a standard package. So a chicken and a beef, a chicken and fish, or I guess beef and fish too. And think about only offering 1 protein. So maybe instead of offering both, you're only offering chicken. Number 3, see if you can buy your own alcohol. Now, before you sign a catering contract, you should certainly be asking if you can provide your own alcohol. It is absolutely the easiest way to save money, because you can price shop, you can choose different things, you can have smaller quantities of a bunch of different things. So provide your own alcohol and try to hunt for sales and take your time purchasing all of that. And
Who's
then
gonna pour that?
lastly, think about using disposables for your wedding instead of having china and flatware for rentals. So a lot of folks are like, ew, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. But they actually make really cool, really nice bamboo biodegradables. So please, no plastics. Just don't do plastics. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for the environment. There are some really
Okay, tell us you want a budget wedding without telling us you want a budget wedding, right?
I mean, I could get behind the bamboo biodegradables for cocktail hour.
Yes,
for sure.
but not for dinner.
But for dinner. And also, like, those terrible little forks and knives that
they don't always work.
That are like, yeah,
You
terrible.
know what? I think the bamboo disposable work great for cocktail hour and late night snacks. During dinner, not so much. But I think the biggest thing is like the guest count.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You don't need 400 people at your event.
You do if you're Irish Catholic, but I digress. Yeah.
Listen, you know, and here's the thing. So when couples reach out to me and I put together a quote and they're like, okay, well, how can we cut this down? Let's look at your guest count.
Yeah.
And then let's look at your menu, right? Because at the end of the day, our prices are driven by the food that we're serving. If you like, for example, Chilean sea bass, lobster, roasted beef tenderloin, those are going to have
Flank steak.
Well, no, the flank steak would be more on the opposite end. But my point is, there are ways to cut back.
Yeah.
You don't have to, so when you're inviting that third cousin on your mom's side that you haven't seen in 30 years, do you need to invite your third cousin on your mom's side that you haven't seen in 30 years?
And give her a date to bring too.
Right. And then feed her Chilean sea bass?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
Only
what
you
I'm
could
saying.
have tiered meals for...
Yes. Yes.
I'll take the money's there, right? So you take it. But I mean, at the same time, like, do you really love 250 people?
But there's times when people come to you and they're like, oh, we only have X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And we want to have 350 people.
Oh,
right.
Sometimes
so that happens.
That's
a
what
lot,
you said
right?
about.
I mean, and they're like, okay, maybe we're cool with 200,
right?
Because it's really expensive.
Yes,
it adds up.
Yes. The other thing too is like the whole concept of the buffet being the cheapest. Buffet is not always the cheapest.
More protein.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think is really interesting. And this is like it varies so much from caterer to caterer here. Like some are much cheaper and some are definitely not. And I can see the argument both ways. It's like you're going to eat they're potentially going to eat a lot more of it. And you're getting double the protein a lot of times.
Yes, that's exactly right. And when we do a buffet, we plan it so that you can have everything. So guess what? If you're having everything of Chilean sea bass and roasted beef tenderloin and a chicken, that's going to increase the cost. So I think that's a little bit of
like a misconception out there.
It really is.
Because you do potentially save money on staff and things like that, potentially. But like
depending on the menu,
right?
Though,
yeah.
right?
Do those things really outweigh each other?
Exactly.
And there are some caterers that do price their buffets lower, but it's typically indicative like what is being served. Like you're not doing a buffet for Chilean sea bass at that point then.
Right. Exactly. So. And then I'm not a fan of having people coming through the line and you saying, do you want this? Or that.
Yeah.
I want to be able to provide everything. And so we have these conversations with the clients. So if you are going towards a buffet because you think it's cheaper, it's a little bit of a misconception, misnomer, because it may not be. It may not be. Yeah.
All right, let's hit the next one.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
What do you think of this kind of shit? Oh my
It's
god.
a little unsanitary.
They used to do this.
Yeah.
Here in the Twin Cities, the whole sushi on the body.
On
I know, it's like my brother said he's witnessed it, I think, in like California, which kind of makes sense and all that. But I've never seen that kind of thing here. But you see Enticing Entertainment do like the dress with the thing, but it's like it's not touching a body or anything like that.
Because you can grab that big steel dress frame.
Thing, yes.
Yeah, that's super cool. But on the body, I wouldn't.
Also, I don't think I've ever seen it done when I've seen someone pouring sauce onto it on them.
The body.
It got a little sexual.
Whoa!
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
and especially if you have like teenagers that an event.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I
that's
mean?
a 21 plus event. For
That-
sure.
I
that's
know,
hope.
for sure. Right.
Equinox Ball or whatever was the one at
Right.
Kelly wouldn't remember, but
But at the
shout out
same
Kelly.
time, like if Tom and I are at an event and there's this woman with sushi on her body, is Tom eating the sushi on the
No,
body?
I'm looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
Esteban, eye contact. Yes, do not look away.
Puts on his sunglasses.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's so
Happy
funny.
thoughts, happy thoughts.
That's so funny. All right, Alex. Let's
So
get
this
another one.
this next one
Is this the one that the funny one?
has to do with your cookbook, your Snoop Dogg cookbook.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hello and thanks for joining us this Earth Day. I'm Mary Kelby in for Deborah. It was a beautiful outdoor wedding until the 911 call started coming in from guests saying they felt strange. Then the bride ended up under arrest along with her caterer, both accused of spiking the wedding dinner with pot. Jim Roy reports.
Wedding guests cheer as the bride makes a stunning walk down the aisle. The bride is radiant in her beautiful lace gown. The dashing groom looks as happy as any man can be. The lovebirds literally tie the knot. And they're pronounced husband and wife with a romantic kiss. It appeared to be a picture-perfect wedding until guests say they began feeling woozy and drugged out after dinner at the reception in Longwood, Florida. Cops now say their meal was laced with marijuana.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like there's some kind of drugs in me.
Panic wedding guests started calling 911. 2 had to be hospitalized. One guy was found wandering and asked police for help.
What would you suggest I do? Well, I would not drive in your condition, so you'd probably want to take like an Uber.
Then cops started questioning the newlyweds. Just look at that bride smiling. Bride Dana Svoboda's face.
Apparently, supposedly, your food had cannabis inside of it when your guests eat it. Did you guys authorize that?
I have no idea.
Did you guys authorize it for the catering company? To have cannabis placed in the food, edibles, whatever the case may be?
No, sir.
All the while, the bride looks on, still grinning. Cops also question
she didn't do
You guys with catering?
Yeah, we're just putting stuff away.
Yeah, don't put anything away yet.
I spoke to wedding guest Miranda Cady. You confronted the bride at the wedding.
I absolutely did. I asked her, I'm like, did you put marijuana in the olive oil? And the answer to me was an absolute yes, with enthusiasm, as if it was something I should be grateful for and happy about.
She says she feels betrayed.
If you can do this kind of action once, what else are you going to do? I don't feel safe and comfortable having people like this in my social circle.
Police collected food as evidence.
All right, I think that's good, Alex.
The cops took it home and they're like,
Hilarious.
okay, who's taking dinner?
I don't know if they said it in this, but it was lasagna. So
Really?
they
just
took
about
like
to
a
get to that. They were just about to say
they took like an olive oil, and because like THC is fat or like oil soluble,
Yeah.
so that's how you
butter.
extract it. And that's what they did. So they took like an olive oil and then made lasagna with the olive oil.
Yeah, the tincture. And then
and
they
got
had the weed in the
grandma
tincture.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she went to the hospital because she felt woozy.
Grandma did?
Whatever.
Well,
she
she
does.
like,
I'm sure.
She got paranoid. She heard sirens.
Or
She's
grandma's
like,
like,
who's got the Doritos? I'm hungry.
Right.
Why does the music sound so good right now?
Just vibes.
Oh, and that bride looked so guilty.
Oh, she was just like, the look on her face.
She's like,
what?
I'm fucked up.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
going
lie.
to jail. She got arrested.
When
She
she
got
Really?
arrested.
She got
Yeah,
arrested.
she got arrested
Is there
with the
another
caterer.
video that?
we literally just
Yeah, no,
stopped
it
right
kind of
before
shows it all. But
Yeah,
Oh
she got
my
arrested.
God.
it basically shows that she got arrested, but I think the caterer
They both did.
also got arrested
But
for
if
like
a-
allowing it and accepting them
Really?
to do it.
Yeah.
Where was
Because
this
you're
at?
drugging people
California, I
without
would
their
assume.
consent.
Was it
Even
Cali?
if it's legal, it's still drugging somebody
Was that
without,
in Cali?
like it's
Right.
like giving people alcohol
Right.
without their consent
Right.
or
Right.
roofing them basically.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Exactly.
like it's silly and it's funny, but it's also like, okay, like
It's hilarious, but it's also like you don't do that to people.
Yeah,
like, if they
no.
don't
Right.
want it, you don't give it to
No.
them.
Right.
But like,
Exactly.
if it's your buddy and he can handle it,
right.
that's maybe a different story. But even though, like, if you don't let them know, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of
But
a
also as a
fucked up.
caterer, taking on that kind of liability is a
There's
little
no
wild.
way.
I wonder if they knew that people didn't know. I don't know. That seems wild to like agree to trick everyone. Like
She looked. I'm not gonna lie. When she was walking down that aisle, she at the end,
She looked high already.
She knew, don't you think?
She already had some.
Yeah.
She pre-tested that lasagna.
Somebody had to make sure it was good.
She ate a batch before she slipped into that
She's like, I
dress.
got a taste test.
Oh my god,
that is so funny.
I mean, even
Give
if you
them
know
the option.
Even if you know your friends like smoke weed or whatever, they like I can take edibles, but I can't smoke weed. I get so paranoid. It doesn't matter what kind, what strain, anything. I get paranoid every time. Like the last time I smoked weed, I was like, I literally ran out of a building having a panic attack.
Oh my god!
I was like texting my friend, and I was like, I'm having an inside panic attack. He's like, what does that mean? I said, it's inside me, and also because I'm inside the building. Like, just like, and I haven't smoked since then. But like, you just don't know how people are gonna react.
You don't. Yeah.
100%.
Right.
It affects everybody a little bit differently too. I think.
Absolutely. And also, like, you're not really like, you can't tell how much. Like, if I went back for 3 servings of lasagna,
oh my
god,
I'd be fucked up. Like,
you know, it sometimes takes a couple hours for it to actually hit you when it comes to edible.
Yes,
right.
It's different for everybody. That's why that's the dangerous part of edibles versus the smoking, inhalation of smoking.
I've never tried cooking with marijuana, but it's like I've heard that it changes the taste. So it would be difficult for me.
We had we were at a Cater Source conference in Vegas, and there was one session where they were talking about the new trend of cooking with marijuana and the different things you can make, and it was a really popular event. I remember I went to it and I was so super curious. I'm like, I'm super curious how the hell are you going to do this? Right. I mean, I think this might've been when weed was first getting legal in California.
I think you also have to be very careful because like, you know, Jessica, not everybody wants it.
Nope.
No.
So you can't just assume I can just serve it.
And you also have to be careful that like not everybody knows their limits, right?
Right.
Like not everybody knows like, oh, not everybody's practiced in having edibles or smoking weed or whatever. So it's
and
like
how it affects them.
Yeah, it's just like alcohol. It's like, you know, first time drinkers, like they get super drunk because they don't know their limits. They don't know when to stop, that kind of thing. Like, yeah.
My uncle one time, he made a batch of brownies or something, or somebody gave him a batch of brownies. He left it on the counter, and my cousin, his son, 10 maybe, 8 to 10, 12 years old or something like that. He ate a shitload of them because he's like, fucking brownies, dude.
Right.
And he killed a whole bunch of them and was like fucked up. I don't think he had to go to the hospital or anything like that, but like,
But that can actually affect your developmental state
for
when
sure.
you're not.
You think
old
one
enough.
time maybe?
Probably not from one time,
Not
but
one
if
time.
you did
Enough
it,
of it.
you never
It's
know.
not just about the
Let
one
you
time.
trip
It's about
balls.
the dose.
Yeah.
No, it's about
And
the
he was
dosage,
okay
too.
after that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the lucky thing too. Is like it's not
not
probably
forever.
gonna kill
Right.
somebody.
Exactly.
It makes you paranoid. It makes you,
Yeah.
oh my god, my body's feeling weird. I'm freaking out. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird, kind of funny and kind of cool thing. Thank you guys so much for being
We
here.
loved it. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And come back sometime. We'll do another one, and we'll dive even deeper. Thank you for watching the podcast. Hit the like and follow button to stay updated on our latest episode. If you have ideas of topics or guests you'd like us to interview, drop us a comment, and we'll see you next time.